Chapter 2306. Since arriving in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, Shao Chun rarely drew his saber. He mostly used the Supreme Dragon Fist to fight. However, it would be a huge mistake to think that the tyrant saber on Shao Chun's back was just for show. After his conversation with Chu Chaoyun, Shao Chun felt an irreversible rage and helplessness at the cycle of epochs. This allowed his saber Dao domain to break through to the third layer, improving his saber Dao further. Once Shao Chun drew his saber, he could bring out a saber move that surpassed the 10th layer Dao might. When Shao Chun swung his saber, he stunned the 7th prince and the guests that were forced back by the momentum. Dao Yen grasped a 10th layer ice Dao domain and condensed it in an ice small world. His strength could be considered unrivaled in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. When Shao Chun layered his 3 Dao domains into saber moves, he was no weaker than the other parties. If one treated Shao Chun as a mere 3-vein sovereign emperor, that would be a joke. With one saber, Shao Chun forced the 7th prince's group to a standstill amid the vast sandstorm. Shao Chun had never thought of killing all these great perfection sovereign emperors alone. That would be too exaggerated. All Shao Chun needed to do was block these people and give Wu Meng and the others time to recover their divine energy and soul energy. Actually, many people felt that this goal was unrealistic. However, the truth was that the might of Shao Chun's saber forced all these guests back. Shao Chun looked around and fixed his gaze on the 7th prince Wang Yun, who was currently wiping blood from a corner of his lips. Raising his eyebrows slightly, Shao Chun raised the tyrant's saber in his hand and charged over. Whoosh! Leaving behind a purple electric mark, Shao Chun's figure flashed. In the next moment, he suddenly appeared in front of the 7th prince. Protect the 7th prince. The expressions of the other guests changed slightly as they quickly stood up to block Shao Chun. In the end, there was only one person. Shao Chun could not bring out a might surpassing the 10th layer Dao might with every saber strike. There was only one way to stop the other party from advancing. After killing the 7th prince, Shao Chun continuously attacked, forcing the other guests to stay and protect him. This was an overt plot. Even if they saw through it, they could not do anything about it. As the weapons clashed, Wang Yun paled at the sight of Shao Chun charging over. While the other guests were obstructing Shao Chun, he hurriedly retreated. The many sovereign emperors tried to detain Shao Chun several times. However, Shao Chun did not linger in a battle. He retreated upon contact with his saber moves and killing chi. From the start to the end, it had enveloped Wang Yun, causing him to flee in all directions in a panic. Shao Chun's 6th layer Thunder Dao domain allowed him to bring out the limits of the Divine Movement 9 variations. If he was determined to leave, few could keep up with his pace. Stay here. Boom. Suddenly, Shao Chun sensed a dangerous aura and saw 4 tree trunks growing out of the ground. Ka ka ka. The tree trunks were stacked together, forming a wooden cage. Ka ka ka. When the tyrant's saber struck the surface, it produced a metallic clang. Despite the might of the tyrant's saber, each saber strike only left a shallow mark. Humph! Now that you have entered my heavenly wood cage, you can forget about leaving. The skinny old man, who had been enduring without making a move, hovered in the air. He showed a cold smile as he looked at Shao Chun in disdain. No matter what, you are just a 3-vein sovereign emperor. Kill him! The other great perfection sovereign emperors had already had enough of Shao Chun. When they saw this opportunity, they did not hesitate to execute all sorts of killing moves. In that instant, boundless emperors' might shook the sky. All sorts of mysterious phenomena covered the sky. A horrifying killing chi spread out, creating a startling lineup. Even the princes on the altars could not help looking over, wanting to see what was happening. Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, in the mortal realm. Shao Chun did not panic at all. He showed no fear in the face of danger as he executed in the mortal realm. Bang! The supreme killing Buddha that descended instantly burst the heavenly wood cage. That killing Buddha figure bloomed with the Buddhist mark on Xiao Chen's forehead and expanded continuously. Then, it pushed with both hands and blocked the killing moves from all directions. Rumble! Amid loud sounds, the sky shook and the ground shook. When the many great perfections sovereign emperors worked together to bombard this ancient land that had existed since the ancient immemorial era, a huge, boundless pit appeared. A purple light flashed, and Xiao Chen leaped out of the huge pit. The shocked guests once again fixed their gazes on the seventh prince, Wang Yun. When Wang Su met Xiao Chen's gaze, he gritted his teeth in frustration. He simply did not want to run anymore. Xiao Chen chased him like a dog. However, his subordinates could not catch him. Wang Su had had enough. "I'll spare your life. I'll take it later." However, Xiao Chen did not charge over as he expected. After saying that indifferently, he turned around and left. "Detain him!" the skinny old man shouted. Xiao Chen could come and go as he pleased. How could there be such logic? "Can you detain him?" Xiao Chen turned around and swung his saber, executing the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques, resolving the mundane, sending out an eternal and inextinguishable saber light. Boom! When the saber light swept out, the guests who were chasing Xiao Chen had no choice but to stop and block this move. When the shock waves scattered, the Buddhist might vanished. When everyone looked around, Xiao Chen's figure was nowhere to be seen. He had already turned into a flash of purple light, firmly drifting towards Wang Yan's altar. He came like flowing water and left like the wind, whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure moved like the wind as he landed firmly like a falling leaf. The others on the altar had already recovered and were waiting for Xiao Chen to return. Seeing Wang Yan look over, Xiao Chen nodded. Everything went without saying. A sacred flame burned fiercely on the altar. The fiery light shone on the faces of Xiao Chen, Xiao Sua, Wu Meng, Hao Kai, and the others. All of them looked incredibly resolute and determined. These people shared the same thought. They had killed their way here, waiting for this moment. Wang Yan stepped forward and drew his Yen imperial sword. The Dao might of his massacred Dao domain spread into the surroundings. The thick killing intent made the hearts of the people present tremble slightly. Just as Wang Yan was about to stab the Yen imperial sword into the altar, Xiao Chen suddenly asked, "Ninth Prince, do you know what the origin of the massacre Dao is?" "I have never thought about this question. I would find it difficult to cultivate the massacre Dao to the 10th layer within a few hundred years," Wang Yan answered, feeling slightly surprised. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Xiao Chen and answered, "The end of the massacre Dao is the demon. Without a heart to pursue the demon, one will never be able to touch the origin of the massacre Dao. This demon is not what you understand it to be. Just make your move. Don't bother with my words." Xiao Chen still wanted to say something. However, after thinking about it, he did not say anything. Wang Yan frowned slightly. He often guarded the borders, fighting with demonic Dao cultivators. Even if there were not 10,000 demonic Dao cultivators who died at his hands, there were at least several thousand. However, Wang Yan found Xiao Chen's words somewhat incomprehensible. "I will remember what you said." However, Wang Yan was still willing to believe in Xiao Chen. This trust stemmed from the fact that they had gone through life and death together. Furthermore, there was Xiao Chen's unique air and the things that happened to him that inspired respect. "Thank you." Xiao Chen's thoughts wandered, and his memories unfurled like a painting. The Wang Yan before him reminded him of someone. An old friend of the Kunlun realm, an old friend that Xiao Chen could never forget. Yan Shi-san of the Massacre Sword Dao. During the final battle of the Kunlun realm's demonic calamity, he became a demon with one sword strike, killing to seek benevolence. At that moment, Xiao Chen understood that the origin of the Massacre Dao was the demon. If Xiao Chen could defeat the Massacre Dao, he would be able to grasp the Massacre Dao's origin. However, back then, Yen Shursan felt that he could not grasp the origin of the massacre Dao. He chose to commit suicide, leaving behind a tragic legend in the Kunlun realm. Boom! The Yen imperial sword surrounded by the aura of massacre stabbed into the fierce flames. A holy light soared into the clouds, and dragon roars rang out. Shao Chen finally occupied all 8 altars. The second round of the succession race reached its most intense moment at this moment. Grim Reaper Lin Feng looked over from the altar occupied by the 11th prince in the distance. When he saw this scene, he revealed a faint smile. Lin Feng had no choice but to become the 11th prince's guest. However, he had never stopped paying attention to Shao Chen. Seeing that the 9th prince occupied an altar as well, Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. The universe origin sex Chu Feng, who was beside Lin Feng, showed a different expression. He had a grudge with Shao Chen in the Faux God world. They could be considered mortal enemies. This fellow is becoming more and more unfathomable. The 11th prince said, "Focus. The second wave of ferocious beasts is about to arrive." Lin Feng and Chu Feng withdrew their gazes and looked at the boundless ferocious beasts in front again. At this moment, ferocious beasts occupied the entire core region of the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. The ferocious beasts densely packed the area, stretching as far as the eye could see. The princes who did not occupy altars mixed in with the ferocious beasts, attacking the princes refining their Yen imperial swords. Wang Yen, who occupied the last altar, could not avoid being targeted by the other princes. Chapter 2307. There were 8 altars in the core region. Each altar was built on the Yenwu dynasty's ancient dragon vein. The dynasty's dragon vein had been passed down for a long time, looking vast and heavy. What the princes needed to do was firmly embed their great Dao mark in the dragon vein. The Yen imperial swords in their hands would eventually become unique, becoming a true holy sword of the dynasty. "I'm going in. I'll leave the ferocious beast wave to everyone." Wang Yen turned his head to look at the group as he looked at the Yen imperial sword in the fierce holy flame. Before Shao Chen and the others, Wang Yen leaped up and entered the holy flame to sit down cross-legged. The refinement officially started. Only the princes knew how dangerous it was. No one knew whether they could succeed or not. However, if they could not block the ferocious beast wave, they definitely would not succeed. Whoosh! As Wang Yen leaped into the holy flame to refine the Yen imperial sword, the altar under his feet slowly trembled. Auspicious signs drifted down from the sky like snowflakes. When the auspicious signs landed on the group, they turned into a warm current that nourished their bodies, making them feel comfortable. Shao Chen carefully sensed the auspicious signs that came from the dynasty's dragon vein descending. He felt his divine energy changing slightly. To think that there is such a benefit. If I receive enough auspicious signs, I can completely stabilize my newly advanced 3-vein sovereign emperor cultivation. Surprise flashed on Shao Chen's face as he felt some joy in his heart. Everyone knew that after breaking through a bottleneck, one needed some time to stabilize their cultivation. It was not advisable to raise it blindly. Right now, the auspicious signs that descended nourished the physical body and condensed divine energy had outstanding effects. They could help Shao Chen during this period. Rumble! As the group marveled, the ground shook. A black mass of figures appeared in the distance. Countless ferocious beasts surged over like the tide. After some thought, Qin Zhuolin said, "I understand. These ferocious beasts are here for the auspicious signs. As the princes deepen their refinement, the auspicious signs will grow stronger. At that time, the ferocious beasts that are attracted will also grow stronger." The ferocious might of the ferocious beasts put immense pressure on the group from afar. The towering altar swayed under the pressure of the ferocious aura. The ferocious beasts seemed to be charging over ferociously. The heavenly book scholar looked around with a grave expression. He said softly, "Brother Qin, you are skilled in the dragon-seeking art. You can connect to the luck of the mountains and rivers. How about you command the lava beasts under the altar? Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly. No problem. I happen to have the same intention. Senior Feng, Senior Hao Kai, the two of you are six-vein sovereign emperors. Can you protect the prince and prevent other guests from sneaking up on him? If something happens to His Highness, we'll all be finished. Naturally, Elder Feng and Hao Kai were duty-bound to agree without hesitation. Brother Xiao Saw, you have the Scarlet Blood War Banner. I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you and Brother Wu Meng to lead the charge. No problem. Xiao Saw laughed heroically and soared into the sky with Wu Meng. Then, they leaped off the altar and charged at the many ferocious beasts. The Heavenly Book Scholar's arrangements were logical and clear. Finally, his gaze landed on Xiao Qin. He asked somewhat uncertainly, Xiao Qin, can I use the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally? The Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally was a supreme treasure. It could hold 1,000,000 soldiers, a great killing tool. Ordinary people would find it very difficult to give it up. If Xiao Qin was unwilling, all right. Just as the Heavenly Book Scholar was thinking about how to persuade Xiao Qin directly handed the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally to him. What do I need to do? Xiao Qin asked directly, feeling that the Heavenly Book Scholar had a pretty good grasp of the big picture. This gave him more confidence in the Heavenly Book Scholar. On the other hand, the Heavenly Book Scholar was stunned for a while before receiving the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally. He smiled and said, Many thanks for your trust. Xiao Qin, you are the strongest among us. I hope that you can patrol the surroundings and wait for an opportunity to kill the Beast Kings and force back the other princes. That's what I was thinking. Xiao Qin gently pushed off with his feet and turned into a flash of purple light. When he landed, the demon blood vulture happened to catch him. Now, only Hao Kai, Senior Feng, Qin Zhuolin, and the Heavenly Book Scholar remained on the altar. Brother Qin, these magma beasts contain a vast amount of dragon essence. If you can strengthen them with the dynasty's luck, you will be able to summon them. If you can use the dynasty's luck to support them, these colossal lava beasts can grow stronger. The Heavenly Book Scholar said to Qin Zhuolin as he tightly grasped the Tyrant Sovereign Commander's tally. Is that so? Let me try. Qin Zhuolin casually pointed and said softly, Drawing Earth as Dragon. Boom. A mass of dragon aura burst out from the ground where the 200 magma beasts were standing. With the support of this dragon aura, the dragon aura was extremely powerful. With the support of this dragon chi, the colossal lava beasts' bodies continuously gave off crunching sounds. Their colossal bodies shrank at a visible pace. After a while, the colossal lava beasts shrank by half. His body had shrunk by half, but his aura had doubled, shocking everyone. Qin Zhuolin smiled and said, It is really effective. The Heavenly Book Scholar did not show any surprise. He looked to the front and said, They are coming. At the very front, Xiao Suo and Wu Meng watched the ferocious beasts approach. The shock in their hearts was indescribable. More than 1,000 ferocious beasts that rivaled one-vein sovereign emperors surged over. Even the sky darkened before these ferocious beasts. The ferocious beasts came in all shapes and sizes. Their attributes were also different. Some were covered in blazing flames. Some had snow-white fur, looking cold and sinister. Some hid in the ground and squirmed slowly. The ferocious beasts were sovereign emperors. However, they were ferocious beasts after all. A human cultivator could easily kill a ferocious beast of the same strength as a sovereign emperor. In terms of intelligence, martial techniques, experience, schemes, and understanding of the Great Tao, ferocious beasts were far inferior to humans. However, when the number of ferocious beasts reached a certain level, such shortcomings could be made up for. Rise. Scarlet Blood Battle Hunger. Xiao Suo roared and ferociously waved the scarlet banner in his hand. The blood-like flag fluttered in the wind like ripples in the waves. As the banner fluttered, the entire sky turned into a surging sea of blood. Wu Meng, who was at the side, felt startled. The battle hunger contained in this scarlet blood war banner was somewhat horrifying. No wonder the Heavenly Book scholar dared to let Xiao Suo take the lead. With Xiao Suo here to restrain the ferocious beasts, the number of ferocious beasts that could charge over would be reduced by half. Xiao Suo grasped the war banner tightly with both hands, and a towering scarlet figure suddenly appeared behind him, holding a war banner as well. Boom! The scarlet blood war banner ferociously swung at the surging ferocious beast tide. Waves of blood surged in the strong wind. The ferocious beasts at the very front were immediately knocked into the air. Several of them crashed into each other and shattered, filling the air with blood. The startling strike of the scarlet blood war banner immediately disrupted the ferocious beast tide surging with killing chi. At least dozens of ferocious beasts were instantly crushed. The most important thing was that this group of ferocious beasts lost their insufferably arrogant auras. Kill! Xiao Suo and Wu Meng exchanged glances. Then, killing chi erupted from their bodies amid maniacal laughter as they charged over. Xiao Chen, who was circling in the air, looked around the ferocious beast tide before withdrawing his gaze. There were no beast kings in this first wave of ferocious beasts. They were just ordinary ferocious beasts. Given Xiao Suo and Wu Meng's strength, even if they got trapped, they would not get trapped. They could easily break free at any time. Rumble! The two blocked several hundred ferocious beasts. The remaining ferocious beasts continued charging towards the altar like the tide. However, the ferocious beasts had lost their formation and momentum. They looked like a group of scattered soldiers. It's my turn. Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly and pointed to the front. Boom! The colossal lava beasts that had shrunk to a size below the altar suddenly stood up. In that instant, these colossal lava beasts erupted with startling auras. Roar! These colossal lava beasts roared endlessly. The flames on their bodies burst forth with resplendent light, burning the sky. Countless flaming rocks rained down like meteors. Under Qin Zhuolin's command, this group of evolved colossal lava beasts charged forward, charging at the ferocious beasts that wanted to destroy the altar. A sacred flame burned endlessly on the tall altar as Wang Yan sat in it. A black aura of massacre shrouded Wang Yan's body, and his expression flickered. It would not be easy to imprint the mark of massacre into the dynasty's dragon vein. Hao Kai and Senior Feng stood to the left and right, cautiously watching the other directions. There were also blood-colored flames circling the altar in the sky. The surroundings of the altar were impenetrable, not even a single drop of water leaking in. This made the princes gathered in secret curse. They could not find any openings in this formation. Chapter 2308. Damn it! The ninth prince's guests advance and retreat in an orderly manner. They switch between offense and defense seamlessly, unable to see any openings at all. The 15th prince's group, which the demon blood vulture chased away earlier, gathered together. As they watched the Heavenly Book scholar and the others deal with the ferocious beast wave from afar, they frowned heavily and showed sullen expressions. Originally, the second prince and the 15th prince had gathered a group of helpers to fight for this altar. Unexpectedly, the 9th Prince Wang Yan led a group of people to snatch it away. On one side, the second prince and Xiao Chen forced them to give up. On the other side, the demon blood vulture put them in a sorry state and forced them to retreat. The 15th prince Wang Qi was rather strong. Furthermore, he had the support of the three princes. Originally, his momentum had been high. However, after the demon blood vulture's killing moves and regrouping, the number of guests decreased by half. Originally, the 15th prince planned to charge over when the ferocious beast wave arrived while the 9th prince's guests were flustered. Unexpectedly, under the Heavenly Book scholar's command, Xiao Chen's group of 7 did not show any openings. The first wave of ferocious beasts did not even get within 50 kilometers of the altar before it was wiped out. 15th elder brother, how about we give up? Xiao Chen's demonic pet is too strong. It cannot deal with the demon blood vulture. We have no chance of victory at all, a prince in the crowd said with lingering fear. The demon blood vulture already had a shadow in his heart. The 15th prince showed an uncertain expression. The 15th prince's expression flickered. He was unwilling, but he couldn't think of a way to deal with it. None of the many guests here dared to step forward to fight the demon blood vulture. I promise anyone who can delay that demon blood vulture an inferior grade soul tool, a rank 9 heavenly pill of their choice, and 250 tons of origin liquid. Wang Qi gritted his teeth and promised to give away all the resources he could offer. However, when he looked around, no one dared to meet his gaze. They all modestly avoided his gaze. This angered Wang Qi into cursing, "Bunch of trash." Actually, these words were somewhat unjust. The guests under him were rather strong. The problem was that these guests did not listen to him. They only used him to obtain fortuitous encounters. There was no loyalty to speak of, but it was not a problem to protect your life. After all, if the prince left, the guest would have to leave as well. But if you want them to risk their lives, then you're thinking too much. The demon blood vulture's bloodline had clearly mutated. It now had divine might, which meant that it was infinitely close to the great desolate Ian's blood phoenix. In the face of such a magical beast, the slightest bit of carelessness could cost their lives. Who would be so foolish as to stand out? No matter how big the world was, it was not as important as one's own life. Furthermore, these experts were divine Vane Realm's sovereign emperors. No matter where he went, he would be the overlord of a region, enjoying the courtesy of everyone. He did not show much respect to the princes. Thus, no matter how angry the 15th prince was, it was useless. He 15th brother. Why are you so angry? Everyone here is a sovereign emperor, outstanding talent, much stronger than you and me. If they're trash, then what are we? So. A discordant voice came from afar. When that voice rang out, a group of people appeared before the 15th prince. Rage flashed on the 15th prince's face. When he saw the leader of the group, he demanded, "7th brother, are you here to teach me a lesson?" This person was the 7th prince, Wang Su. Shao Chen toyed with him until he was in a sorry state. Naturally, he could not swallow this frustration. After Wang Su reorganized himself, he immediately charged over. "Greetings, 7th prince." The many guests around the 15th prince did not show much change in expression when they heard Wang Su. However, they more or less acknowledged him in their hearts, so they greeted him. After Wang Su responded politely, he looked at Wang Qi and said, "15th brother, you no longer have the ability to pose a threat to 9th brother. No matter what, you have to admit this." Wang Qi's eyes sank slightly, and his lips curled up in mockery. He mocked, "So what if I am? Could it be that you have the strength to pose a threat to him? I saw that you were helpless when that Shao Chen chased you earlier." These words sounded somewhat provocative, but Wang Su did not get angry. He said indifferently, "Indeed, I do not have much of a chance of victory. However, if you are willing to help me, 9th brother will definitely lose this round. As for the demon blood vulture that you are worried about, my guests can deal with it. As for the remaining Shao Chen, I have already thought of a countermeasure." "Are you serious?" Wang Qi asked in disbelief, as he looked at Wang Su with a contemplative expression. "Do you still have a choice? You can either choose to follow me now or go around asking for favors and wait for the second round to be eliminated. If I can clear the third round, you will definitely receive many benefits. The ancient Yen Emperor tree will appear in the third round. There is no need for me to tell you what kind of fortuitous encounter there is, right?" Wang Yun chuckled. He had a confident look on his face, not worried that the other party would reject him. 15th brother, just agree. 7th brother is stronger than us. If you do not agree, we will follow 7th brother ourselves. In any case, it is the same as everyone else." When the princes who followed the 15th prince heard Wang Su's words, they all felt tempted. Wang Qi's expression changed. After some thought, he said, "As long as you can deal with that demon blood vulture, there is no harm in me taking a gamble with you." Wang Su turned his head and looked at a middle-aged man among his guests. "Mr. Liu, I will leave the matter of the demon blood vulture to you." That middle-aged man wore strange clothes and gave off a faint demonic might. He was actually a demonic Dao sovereign emperor. Mr. Liu nodded with an indifferent expression. The demon blood vulture was born in the ash-gray sea. Although it is incredibly strong, it is not without weakness. I have a way to deal with it. However, I am not a match for that Xiao Qin, so I can only rely on Senior Ma. The skinny old man chuckled and said, "Don't worry. No matter how strong he is, he cannot do anything to me. The difference in cultivation is not that easy to deal with. I just need to change my mind and delay him until you chase the 9th prince out of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb." "Good. We will make our move after 2 more waves of ferocious beasts." "Sure." After making up their minds, this group of people started to make preparations in secret. Including the 7th prince Wang Su, there was a total of 5 princes. With so many princes gathered, the powerhouses of the feudal lords outside the palace's drill ground felt nervous for the 9th prince Wang Yin. The princes occupying altars only suffered attacks from 3/5 princes at most. However, a total of 5 princes targeted the 9th prince. This 9th prince is really worrisome. Indeed. In the first round, the 13th prince targeted him, nearly wiping him out. In this round, 5 princes targeted him at the same time. It will be difficult. With 5 princes gathered, there are more than 40 sovereign emperor outstanding talents under them. The crucial thing is that this group of people is still very cautious. Based on their stance, they will only make their move after 2 more waves of ferocious beasts. The powerhouses of feudal lords and noble clan heads paying close attention to the 8 altars started to worry about the 9th prince. At the same time, the chaotic battles in the core region slowly reached their peak. Naturally, the first prince Wang Fei had the smoothest refinement. He had many subordinates, all of them geniuses and experts. Be it the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter, the Black Lotus Church Holy Son, or that mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, they could all be considered super experts. There was also the even more horrifying Shi, who hid in the dark and did not make a move. The most convenient thing was that no other prince dared to target the first prince. This allowed Wang Fei to focus on refining the Yen Imperial Sword, unable to worry about anything else. However, the first prince chose the ruler Dao, the ruler Great Dao. Even without any interference, completing the refinement would not be easy. However, once the first prince succeeded, his strength would soar. Up until now, nearly everyone thought highly of the first prince. No matter who the other princes were, they were all slightly inferior. Aside from these princes, some of them could not be underestimated, either. For example, the 8th prince Wang Feng. When Dao Yen brought out his ice small world and sealed thousands of sovereign emperor ferocious beasts with a wave of his hand, everyone felt shocked. This level of strength could be said to be invincible. In the entire ancient Yen emperor tomb, aside from the 8th prince, no one else had brought out a 10th layer Dao domain. Furthermore, the profound Heaven Holy Land's 3 experts, the Holy Sun Wenrenyu, Mu Yunju, and Gu Yuhan, also showed the strength of super experts. The 3 waves of ferocious beasts easily destroyed the ferocious beasts 50,000 kilometers away from the altar. The 13th prince's altar showed another mysterious phenomenon. The royal teacher Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King spread out their great desolate Aeon divine might at the same time, forcing the surrounding ferocious beasts to tremble, not daring to approach. This method of winning without a fight was breathtaking. The other noteworthy ones were the 11th prince and the 6th prince Wang Ming. Each of them had an expert skilled in the Death Dao domain. They used the mysteries of death to revive the dead sovereign emperor ferocious beasts as corpses. They easily dealt with the endless ferocious beast waves, not flustered at all. The first prince, the 8th prince, the 13th prince, the 11th prince, and the 6th prince. In the opinion of the spectators, they would have no problems clearing the second round. As for the other princes occupying altars, there were many variables. They might even get chased off. This was the general situation in the core region. To these powerhouses there would not be any other variables. Chapter 2309. It's the fourth wave. On the altar, the Heavenly Book scholar looked at the boundless ferocious beast corpses on the ground with a grave expression. The air was filled with the thick smell of blood, the ground was covered with rivers of blood, and the corpses were piled up like mountains. The dragon essence contained in the ferocious beasts' bodies gave off a green light after they died, flickering like ghost flames. Xiao Suo, who was at the very front, was expressionless. One could not make out much of his expression. The scene before Xiao Chen no longer found it strange. Compared to the Scarlet Sea in the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance, the Scarlet Sea in the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance was nothing. Even so, it paled in comparison to a great sorcerer. It was still far from being comparable. Wu Meng sat on the corpse of a ferocious beast, wiping the blood off his weapon. He was also proficient in the Tao of Massacre, so he did not show much fatigue. However, each wave of roaring beasts was more ferocious and powerful than the last. Both of them could feel that the pressure on them had multiplied, and they were no longer as relaxed as they were at the beginning. On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chen opened his eyes. The sky was as auspicious as snow. It was much denser than before. Catching it, Zhang Xian allowed it to melt in his palm. After feeling the auspicious signs fusing with the divine sea, Xiao Chen muttered to himself, "The fifth wave is coming. Clowns, are you still not going to show yourself?" As he said, a black light appeared at the edge of his vision, surging over like a wave. Looking around, he did not see any other princes or guests. It seemed that after the first lesson, this group of people knew how powerful he was and didn't dare to be careless again. He hid himself and restrained his aura. If they did not expose themselves, it would not be easy for Xiao Chen to pull them all out in this chaotic situation. After a few waves of beasts, Xiao Chen had nothing to do other than kill 2 beast kings. On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chen secretly refined the auspicious signs to stabilize his 3-veined sovereign emperor cultivation. It moved. Raising his eyebrows, Xiao Chen sensed a powerful killing intent gathering in the surroundings. This group of people finally couldn't hold back anymore. North. Turning around, Zhang Xian swiftly looked toward the north. Xiu xiu xiu. 5 streaks of sword light appeared at the same time and gathered together, illuminating the sky. The imperial might was vast and mighty as it slowly approached. Above the sword light, a majestic dynasty was condensing. Those were 5 yen imperial swords drawn at the same time. The horrifying imperial might startled the other princes in the core region. On the altar, the Heavenly Book scholar showed a grave expression. After some thought, he said, "Don't panic. Everyone, hold your positions. The plan will not change." Hao Kai and Senior Feng, who had the heavy responsibility of protecting Wang Yan, raised their guard, not daring to be careless. The Prince's Yen imperial sword could multiply his strength in the ancient Yen emperor tomb. The stronger the draconic luck, the more powerful the battle prowess. When the 5 yen imperial swords appeared at the same time, no one dared to lower their guard. They all felt a mountain-like pressure. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and a purple thunderbolt mark streaked across the sky. He was ready to check out the situation. A figure flew over from the sky, carrying a towering emperor's might, forcibly blocking Xiao Chen's path. This person was the 7th prince's subordinate, the skinny old man. Xiao Chen had some impression of this person's heavenly wood prison. Move aside. As the 5 princes led their guests closer to the altar, Xiao Chen did not have time to waste with this old man. Boom! Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he drew his tyrant saber and chopped down. Grass grows and shadows fly, growing and never extinguishing. The skinny old man smiled coldly, and an exuberant life force burst out of his body. Layers of emerald green tree branches grew and condensed into a ball around him, growing and extinguishing. No matter how tyrannical Xiao Chen's saber moves were, he could not destroy this ball of tree branches. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen sent out more than 1,000 saber strikes. Saber lights spread out and electric images crisscrossed. However, that skinny old man relied on his advantage in cultivation to defend and not attack. As long as Xiao Chen could not severely injure the old man in one go, he would not lose. Sawdust fluttered in the air and filled the sky. The scrawny old man's figure was faintly discernible in the tree ball's life and death. He said with a cold smile, "I'm an entire major realm higher than you. The profoundness of my divine essence isn't what you can imagine. Although you're terrifyingly strong, if I don't make a move, there won't be any flaws." "Who?" Xiao Chen turned around and stopped attacking. He frowned slightly. Encountering such a shameless old thing was indeed difficult to deal with. A trace of retreating appeared in his heart. He did not want to waste any more time. Saving the 9th prince was more important. "You want to leave? I didn't agree to let you go. This old man has the final say." The skinny old man was obviously dissatisfied with Xiao Chen blocking the entire team of the 7th prince. When he saw the helpless look on Xiao Chen's face, he couldn't help but feel pleased. Dao Might erupted, and a terrifying wood Dao domain spread out, instantly filling the sky. The instant the wood Dao domain supported the wood shavings that filled the air, the wood shavings scattered everywhere. The densely packed wood shavings flew towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen showed a cold expression as his 3 Dao Might layered over each other, materializing a boundless saber move. Xiao Chen sent out an impenetrable screen of sabers to protect himself, not leaving any blind spots. However, this skinny old man's attack was extremely strange. The wood shavings actually stuck to the saber light. Then, they grew wildly like grass growing under a rock. When they burst out, they could even send the rock flying. These wood shavings relied on this life force to forcefully break through Xiao Chen's screen of saber light. After that, wood shavings continuously landed on Xiao Chen's body, growing wildly. Soon, Xiao Chen's body was covered in trees. These trees tore at his physical body. The roots were like tentacles that pierced through his skin and penetrated deep into his body, destroying his internal organs and absorbing the life force in his body. Xiao Chen's strong blue dragon divine body gave these trees an even better space to grow. The rapidly growing trees shocked even the skinny old man somewhat. "Haha! Do you feel that you lost unjustly? Many times, the stronger an existence looks, the weaker it is. On the other hand, the unremarkable things like a blade of grass or a piece of wood are extremely tough and can bring out incredible power." The skinny old man smiled sinisterly. Then, he held his palms together and continuously infused his divine energy into the many trees on Xiao Chen's body. At this moment, Xiao Chen looked extremely strange. Xiao Chen stood in the air with many huge trees covering his entire body. Even his face could not be seen clearly. Only a pair of eyes peered through the intertwining branches, calmly looking at the skinny old man. The skinny old man allowed the divine energy to infuse into the trees on his body. It seemed like he was helpless and resigned to his fate. Slowly, the skinny old man could no longer keep smiling. He felt that the life force in Xiao Chen's body seemed boundless. The wildly growing trees even seemed somewhat uncontrollable. The life force they exuded was so dense that even the skinny old man felt afraid. How can it be like this? Given his cultivation, after my seed absorbed so much life force, he should have turned into a dried corpse long ago. The skinny old man felt greatly startled. However, he could no longer stop. He could only clench his teeth and continue. "I really want to continue playing with you. However, I don't know what method you used, but you managed to restrain the demon blood vulture as well. This ends here. Fiendish saber inheritance, all things rejoicing together. Shao Chen shouted in his heart, and the many trees growing wildly on his body assimilated with all things rejoicing together. Every tree, every branch, and every leaf burst out with resplendent saber light at the same time. The life force that terrified the skinny old man turned into countless saber lights and surged over. Whoosh! Without giving the skinny old man any chance to react, the saber lights filling the air surged over. When the saber lights scattered, the skinny old man's entire body was pierced through. Like a broken kite, the skinny old man wobbled and fell heavily. The many trees wrapped around Shao Chen's body. He gently twisted his body and slid down like water. The roots of the trees in his body tried to grab hold of him but could not. The instant Shao Chen left, the many towering ancient trees in the air without the vast life force in his body shattered and turned into ashes. The skinny old man looked incredibly weak. Then, he gently drifted down and walked forward step by step. The skinny old man appeared incredibly weak. Wounds covered the skinny old man's body, but he laughed maniacally. Shao Chen, it's over for you. You can turn around and take a look, turn around and take a look. Then, you will know what despair is. The 5 yen imperial swords above the altar where Wang Yen was gave off resplendent sword lights. Boundless sword moves encased the entire altar. The heavenly book scholar, Hao Kai, and the other two showed extremely unsightly expressions. Right now, it was not about whether Wang Yen could block the peak strikes of the 5 princes' yen imperial swords. Even if they managed to block it, the shock waves from the explosion could directly destroy the entire altar. Wang Yen, who was in the eye of the storm, would definitely die. Below the altar, Qin Zhuolin controlled the colossal lava beast and fought an intense battle with the 5 princes' guests. Qin Zhuolin showed rage on his face. He wanted to help, but he could not. On the other side, the demon blood vulture's belly pressed against the ground as it screeched miserably. The demon blood vulture did its best to spread its wings and fly. However, when the wind blew, no matter how much it screeched in pain, it could not fly. A black ball as heavy as a planet stuck it to the ground inside the demon blood vulture's body. Mr. Liu stood upright in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. He smiled sinisterly and said, "After swallowing my imprisoning star pearl, no matter how horrifying you are, you will have to lie down obediently." Xiao Suo and Wu Meng, who were at the front lines, were trapped in the ferocious beast tide. At this moment, Qin Zhuolin, who should have led the colossal lava beast to reinforce them, was held up. The two were in unspeakable misery. They could only do their best to hold on as danger surrounded them. The 9th prince is finished. Outside the palace in the clouds, the powerhouses of the feudal lords in the palace in the clouds sighed as they watched the scene on the huge light screen. Although this was somewhat sorrowful, it was within expectations. How could the 9th prince stand a chance against the 5 princes? Such an outcome was just a matter of time. Something's not right. Look. However, right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A saber light flew over. Everywhere the saber light passed, the saber move sliced the sky in half like it was a piece of cloth. Ka-cie. Something strange happened in an instant. Before the 9th prince could see where the saber light came from, the 5 princes with surging auras above the altar got chopped in half at the waist. The peak strike of the yen imperial sword crumbled, looking like fireworks in the air. Go in peace. Then, Shao Chen sheathed Heavenly Slayer and stepped forward. His tall and straight figure looked like a lone mountain. The instant Heavenly Slayer returned to the scabbard, the tip of the scabbard flew towards the severely injured, skinny, old man at lightning speed. The incredibly weak, skinny, old man's face filled with despair. He muttered, turn back, sorry, I do not have the habit of turning back." Boom. Heavenly Slayer closed the scabbard and landed, crushing the skinny, old man into powder. The remnant might scattered his divine seal. The skinny, old man did not see Shao Chen turn back even as he died. The skinny, Old Man did not understand why there was a need to turn back after Heavenly Slayer was drawn. Chapter 23:10. While Shao Chen was defeating the 5 great princes' joint counterattack, the 5th prince was not so lucky. The first prince's altar burst out with resplendent light, looking like the sun, illuminating the entire ancient Yen Emperor tomb. All of them were forcefully sent out, turning into streams of light and disappearing. The group of people laughed at the same time. Clearly, they had always looked down on this Wang Yun, treating him as a joke. Yuanjun chuckled as he looked at Wang Yun. According to Yuanjun's plan, he should have made a sudden attack at this moment, killing off the unguarded 3rd prince. Could it be that Big Brother is going to go on a killing spree? Wang Yun said with some certainty. He rushed towards Shao Chen and Wu Meng, who were trapped in the ferocious beast tide. The 4th prince Wang Yun could not accept this at all. However, he endured it. After all, Yuanjun had not missed anything since the start. But no matter what, a prince was still a prince, and the other guests would more or less have some scruples. Congratulations, 3rd brother, hee. 3rd brother is really amazing. I believe there must have been some commotion in the refinement of the Yen Imperial Sword. 4th brother, I will take my leave first. Qin Zhuolin startled to his senses and quickly directed the colossal lava beast to turn into a surging flood. Like the roar of a raging river, huge waves surged and rushed towards the horde of beasts. But no matter what, the 9th prince's crisis had been resolved. On the altar, the 4 princes looked at the blazing sacred flame with different expressions. King's Way. In the midst of the blazing sacred flame, the princes all wore horrified expressions. Those fellows were even capable of getting the 1st prince to collude with the Xuewu dynasty. Ah! After Shao Chen left, Wang Yun said somewhat angrily, Mr. Yuan, can you give me an explanation? With your strength earlier, you could have killed 3rd brother in one move when he let his guard down. Why did you just give up? I've killed so many berserk beasts that I want to puke. Seeing a berserk beast's corpse makes me sick. Haha, this 4th prince is still as foolish as ever. He must have become foolish after killing so many ferocious beasts. Even now, you are still thinking about the berserk beast. 4th brother, we won't leave. We will protect you. Not only Wang Yun, but the other guests were also confused, expressing their confusion. He was well aware of his own strength and his own capabilities. However, it looked like the 1st prince's Yen Imperial Sword was about to complete its refinement. The 3rd prince smiled and said, This 4th brother of mine is good at everything, but he's a little silly and honest. Ha, but he's not stupid. He won't give us a chance, right? The Yen Emperor in the clouds remained calm. He did not show any rage or killing intent because of Shao Chen's attack. 50%? So. If he is allowed to merge his king's mark with the dynasty's dragon vein, he will soar into the sky. No one knows what will happen. Given the selfish nature of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders, it was practically impossible for them to be willing to pay a high price. The demon blood vulture soared into the air and let out a carefree cry as it charged at the ferocious beast tide. A hint of surprise flashed in the 3rd prince's eyes. 4th brother, are you not going to stay and share the dragon vein with us? In reality, princes had fallen in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb in every succession race. The 5 princes were split in half by a medial-grade soul tool. It was hard to say whether they could survive or not. When Wang Yun recognized Yuanjun, he felt greatly startled. The other guests were similarly startled. Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. Mr. Yuan? Why aren't you making a move? We have not suffered any losses yet. This is the best opportunity. When Heavenly Slayer was drawn, there was no need to turn back. The scene of Shao Chen chopping down 5 princes with one saber strike was simply shocking. Wang Yun's heart pounded heavily. He had never thought that he could become the crown prince. After the 5 princes were forcefully sent out of the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, their guests naturally could not remain. However, Shao Chen used Heavenly Slayer. According to legend, if one did not kill, one would injure oneself. When it was unsheathed, one would definitely die. A murderous intent flashed in the fourth Prince Wang Yun's eyes, but he did not make a move. Yuan Zhen removed his hood, revealing his shiny bald head and the 12-ring scars on it. Yuan Zhen did not panic. He smiled faintly and said, "Before coming, I did not know that the first prince chose the king's Dao. I also did not know that his refinement would be so smooth." The sword qi released by the 5 yen imperial swords on the altar scattered like firework. There's no need. There is a limited number of auspicious signs. If we fight over them, it will be hard to avoid harming our friendship. Third elder brother, just remember your agreement with me. I'll bring my subordinates to the core region to sweep the area. The ferocious beast corpses covering the ground are great treasures. Yuan Zhen had 3 purposes in coming to the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. This is a little too exaggerated. After this, the 9th prince's situation turned around. He should not have any problems in the second round. The 3rd prince, the 4th prince, the 17th prince, and the 18th prince formed an alliance. They found an opening and directly chased the 5th prince off the altar, forcing him to forfeit. Senior Feng and Hao Kai exchanged glances, not saying anything for a long time. Before the 3rd prince could reply, Wang Yun leaped off the altar and quickly led his guests far away. If Xiao Suo and Wu Meng had not rushed over, they would have died in battle. The succession race was not a friendly game. It was a cruel competition to the death. The first was to help Wang Yan become the crown prince. The second was the ethereal Immortal Palace. The third had always been hidden in the depths of Yuan Zhen's heart. Earlier was clearly an excellent opportunity. The 4th prince might have occupied the altar and succeeded in refining it. Wang Yun said seriously, "I trust Mr. What should I do now?" The other princes sneered as they watched the 3rd prince leave. After a while, Elder Feng voiced out his concern. When Senior Feng turned his head to look, he happened to see Shao Chen sheathing his saber. This scene stunned Senior Feng. His mind short-circuited and he forgot to move. If it were any other weapon, it would be fine. All he needed to do was use natural treasures and recuperate for a while, and his life would not be in danger. Yuan Zhen laughed maniacally. Then, he revealed an unfathomable smile under his hood. "Do you think the 5 princes have any chance of surviving?" Seeing that Wang Yun trusted him completely, Yuan Zhen smiled and asked, "Have you heard of the 9th altar? Do you know what the kingly Dao is?" "The kingly Dao is that those who submit to me prosper, and those who oppose me die. Aside from me, everyone else is an ant. The kingly Dao is to show such might. The stronger one is, the stronger one's Dao might and strength will be. They complement each other. What do you think will happen next?" The 1st Prince Wang Fei roared as he drew the Yen Imperial Sword in his hand, startling all the princes refining the Yen Imperial Sword to their senses. Shao Chen looked at the imprisoning star pearl in his hand, feeling its heavy weight. Then, he fiddled with it for a while before putting it away. The powerhouses of the feudal lords had long since grown accustomed to the deaths of princes. Qin Zhuolin had been commanding more than 100 colossal lava beasts to fight the 40-odd guests. Now that his opponents were gone, the pressure on him lessened significantly. Just at this moment, something strange happened. The entire core region of the ancient Yen Emperor tomb shook intensely. The terrifying Imperial might cause the other altars that were far away to shake and tremble. The other guests felt somewhat dissatisfied as well. However, what does that matter? You might consider these things, but Shao Chen would not care at all. In his opinion, this is a fight to the death. Either the 9th prince dies or the 5 princes die. The moment he drew Heavenly Slayer, he did not intend to turn back. Or rather, when he decided to help Wang Yan, there was no reason for him to turn back. Even if a prince died, it would normally be at the hands of another prince. Few guests would directly kill a prince. This somewhat cruel scene immediately elicited startled cries. To think that Xiao Chen was so bold. The book scholar shouted from the altar. As he spoke, he immediately leaped off the altar. Amid loud rumbling, a kingly Tao's emperor's might swept out in all directions, covering the sky. The two halves of the 5 princes suddenly appeared in the palace's drill ground. Senior Feng felt stunned. After a while, he no longer bothered with this question. Wasn't his question pointless? It turned out that the mysterious person that he looked down on was actually the top true inheritor of the hidden spirit temple. Hao Kai said calmly, "Everything points to disaster. However, he can definitely be saved. It just depends on whether the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders are willing to pay a sufficient price." The third prince, who was the leader, rejoiced. He said seriously, "Many thanks to little brothers for helping. Otherwise, I would never have been able to climb this altar." The third prince did not reveal any of this, enduring silently. However, in his heart, this third goal was far more important than the first two. Ha 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 ha! Xiao Chen. Compared to Senior Feng, Hao Kai's understanding of Xiao Chen was more thorough. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's experts showed hurried expressions as they quickly took away the bodies of the 5 princes. "Brother Qin, quickly go and save Xiao Suo and Wu Meng." In their opinion, aside from the first prince, they could give up on the others. Yuan Jin said coldly, "I removed my hood in hopes that you will trust me more. This is a great opportunity that comes once in a blue moon. You should know that this land of absolute beginning had the help of the hidden spirit temple's ancestors. That was how the first-generation Yen Emperor managed to locate this place as the Imperial Tomb. Now, Yuan Zhen actually said that he had a 50% chance of becoming the crown prince and ascending to the throne. Everything went as Yuan Zhen expected. The 4 princes worked together and successfully chased away the strong 5th prince. Ha 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 ha. Actually, you don't have to care about this because your opportunity is here. If you only had a 20% chance of becoming the crown prince before, it has now risen to 50%. Under the hood, Yuan Zhen looked around and sent a voice projection. There's no rush. I sense that something is about to happen. Just wait a little longer. This altar is not important right now. Let your third brother have it." What? Boom! The murderous intent in the 4th prince Wang Yun's eyes vanished. "Yuan Zhen. You are the Hidden Spirit Temple's Yuan Zhen. Doesn't the Hidden Spirit Temple never interfere in the succession race?" Chapter 23:11. Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. These words echoed endlessly in the vast core region of the ancient Yen Emperor Tomb. The sovereign Tao's might shook the world. A resplendent holy light shone on the first prince's altar, illuminating the entire core region like the sun. This made the altars of the other princes pale in comparison. This is the sovereign Tao? Amid the blazing holy flame, the yellow papers on the various altars opened their eyes at the same time. Intense horror flashed in their eyes. No one expected the first prince Wang Fei to merge his sovereign Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein so quickly. It was simply unimaginable and unbelievable. Everyone expected the sovereign Tao to be much more difficult to merge than the other great Tao. It was impossible for the first prince to succeed so quickly before the other princes. Inside the palace, even the aloof Yen Emperor felt shocked. As he held the genuine Yen Imperial sword in his hand, his body trembled slightly as he said, "Impossible. Why is it impossible? The facts prove that the first prince is indeed the chosen one, the leader of our Yenwu dynasty's resurgence." The Yen Emperor looked back and saw the Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor. Then, he suddenly understood something. You have already crossed the line. The ancestral teachings say that the succession race has to be fair. If you go against the ancestral teachings, my Yenwu dynasty will be destroyed. Everyone knew that the Imperial Ancestral Temple controlled the entrances to the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. They knew most of the secrets of the mausoleum. If they were willing to lend a hand, they would definitely be able to survive. If they helped, the first prince could merge his sovereign Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein at an incredible speed. However, this was equivalent to deciding who the crown prince would be. This completely went against the ancestral teachings, ignoring the ancestral teachings and shaking the foundation of the nation. A great calamity is approaching. The Yenwu dynasty is in the eye of the storm. If it does not change, it will self-destruct. Don't think that I do not know that you secretly went to Spirit Vulture Mountain. That group of bald donkeys did not agree to help you, right? The Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor's expression did not change as he looked coldly at the Yen Emperor, appearing exceptionally cold. The Yen Emperor felt stunned. Clearly, he had not expected the other party to know him so well. Based on your confused expression, that group of bald donkeys from the Hidden Spirit Temple probably did not agree to help you. This bunch of bald donkeys have always been high and mighty, acting as if they were otherworldly masters, but in reality, they're just collecting incense and worshipping the Devil Buddha. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor said indifferently, "Do you want to draw your sword? You can't pull it out, right? You are already a thing of the past. A new Yen Imperial sword will be born. Watch carefully, accompany us to the end of the last play, and obediently pass on the throne." So. Right after Shao Chen spoke, many experts of the Imperial Ancestral Temple appeared in the palace high in the clouds. The Yen Emperor had an unsightly expression as he looked at the elders walking out from behind the sovereign ancestor. He felt a deep sense of helplessness. Suddenly, he somewhat understood why the abbot did not agree to his request that day. This was because the dynasty was no longer under his control. The clan elder's influence was deeply rooted in the dynasty's bloodline. In the great hall below, the feudal vassals and the big shots of the aristocratic families were present. They did not know that a coup had quietly taken place in the palace in the clouds. The current Yen Emperor was stripped of his throne by the joint efforts of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders. In the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, the first Prince Wang Fei soared into the air amid resplendent holy light and looked around coldly. A tyrannical kingly Tao that looked down on the world made the four princes tremble. Damn it! How can this be? The eighth Prince Wang Feng felt startled and angry. His Wind Great Tao was only half a step away from perfectly merging with the dynasty's dragon vein. In Wang Feng's opinion, no matter what, he should be ahead of Wang Fei. Merging the Wind Great Tao was much simpler than merging the Sovereign Tao. Oh no! The expressions of Tao Yen and the profound Heaven Holy Sun Wunren Yu changed at the same time. This was because Wang Fei, who was high in the sky, fixed his gaze on Wang Feng, who was in the sacred flame. Eighth Prince, quickly leave the altar. Otherwise, the consequences will be dire. Wang Feng showed an unresigned expression. Give me a little more time, and I can perfectly merge the Wind Great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein. There is no time. It is enough that you have already imprinted it. Tao Yen and Wunren Yu did not give Wang Feng a chance to speak. They worked together to pull him out of the sacred flame and shouted, "Quickly move away!" However, they were still one step too late. Wang Fei drew his sword, and a vast dragon image appeared. The accumulations of the dynasty that had existed for 100,000 years were vividly displayed in Wang Fei's sword. When the sword light landed, the altar that the eighth prince was on suddenly crumbled, turning into countless shards. Wang Feng appeared somewhat dispirited. My altar, the scattered shards of the altar were like bubbles in a beautiful dream to Wang Feng, drifting in all colors. It's gone, it's all gone. A terrifying shockwave spread out as boundless dragon energy poured out from the shattered altar. The dragon essence turned into many dragon images, continuously heading for Wang Fei in the air, causing his might to soar. Ha ha ha! Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die. When Wang Fei felt the overwhelming power contained in the Yen Imperial sword in his hand, he entered a frenzied state as he shouted again. The might of one sword strike destroyed his greatest competitor's altar. The swelling energy made Wang Fei's heart grow infinitely larger. Oh no! The 13th Prince Wang Yi's expression changed slightly. Then, he said decisively, retreat. After dealing with the 8th brother, there was no doubt that first brother's target would be him. Since that was the case, he might as well retreat earlier. There was no need to insist on a perfect merger of his great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein. Since the mark was already there, it meant that there was still hope. There was still hope. The altar was already useless. If he insisted on perfection, he would definitely be destroyed. Damn it, although Wang Yi calmly analyzed the pros and cons in his heart, he still felt a strong sense of unwillingness. Whoosh! Sikong Shu, the Silver Dragon King, and the other great desolate Ian bloodline outstanding talents protected the 13th Prince Wang Yi as they jumped off the altar and fled. Bang! Nearly the instant Wang Yi jumped off the altar, the first Prince Wang Fei's attack arrived. The altar shattered in that instant, and the sacred flames scattered on the ground. The burning ferocious beasts howled miserably as they fled in all directions. Withdraw. Wang Fei smiled coldly. The Yen imperial sword in his hand frantically absorbed the dragon essence leaking out of the altar. Aside from me, everyone else is an ant. The sovereign Tao, this is the sovereign Tao. The greater one's momentum, the stronger one's strength. After Wang Fei destroyed the 8th prince and the 13th prince's momentum, his own momentum swelled to a level that no one dared to look directly at. Below the altar, Lord Shi's group showed calm expressions as if they had expected this. How terrifying! How can first brother be so strong? The 3rd prince, who had just occupied an altar, had just jumped onto it. He did not even have time to refine the Yen imperial sword. When the 3rd prince saw everything that happened before him, he was completely stunned, unable to continue fighting. Oh no! The 3rd prince's expression changed dramatically. He felt a killing chi encasing him, preventing him from moving, and his entire body trembled. First brother, I have no intention of fighting with you. I'll give up now. Fear filled the 3rd prince's heart. He stuttered, wanting to cry, but no tears came out. Boom! However, Wang Fei did not give the 3rd prince a chance to speak. When his sword descended, he destroyed the 3rd prince along with the altar. This happened again and again. Wang Fei sent out 3 sword strikes, destroying an altar with 1 sword strike. 3 sword strikes destroyed 3 altars. Those who paid attention could tell that this was no longer Wang Fei's own strength. He seemed to have borrowed the momentum of the dynasty's dragon vein. Before the other princes could perfectly merge their great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein, the dynasty's dragon vein already treated Wang Fei as the true crown prince. The dynasty's dragon vein already treated Wang Fei as the true crown prince. In this ancient Yen emperor tomb, the dynasty's dragon vein was equivalent to the Yenwu dynasty's 100,000 years of accumulations. As for the first prince Wang Fei, he was the embodiment of this dynasty's accumulations. With the Yen imperial sword in hand, he carried the mandate of heaven. When the 4th prince Wang Yun saw the dead 3rd prince in the distance, he felt a chill run down his spine. If the 4th prince had not listened to Yuanjun earlier, he would have been the one dead. Wang Yun said sincerely, "Mr. Yuan, many thanks for saving my life." Shock also flashed in Yuanjun's eyes on his calm face under the hood. Clearly, he was somewhat surprised by the strength that Wang Fei displayed. "There's no need to thank me. We are in the same boat. Saving you is saving myself." Wang Yun did not care about Yuanjun's words. He asked somewhat anxiously, "Mr. Yuan, where is the 9th altar that you mentioned?" Yuanjun smiled faintly and said, "There's no rush. This is not the time for you to be anxious. There is someone even more anxious than you." Wang Yun felt slightly stunned. Then, he looked in the direction of Yuanjun's finger and saw the 9th prince Wang Yan's altar. Chapter 23:12. There's no rush. Now is not the time for you to be anxious. There is someone even more anxious than you. Wang Yun looked in the direction Yuan Zhen pointed. It was the altar where the 9th Prince Wang Yen was. Confusion flashed in his eyes. Ha! Stop looking. Hide first. Yuan Zhen pulled up his hood, hiding his face even deeper. Then, he turned around and said, Mr. Yuan, tell me, where is the 9th altar? Wang Yun asked anxiously as he pulled up his hood and shifted his gaze to Yuan Zhen. Wang Yun retracted his gaze and shifted it to Yuan Zhen. Then, he said anxiously, a crazed look flashing in his eyes. Wang Yun asked anxiously as he withdrew his gaze and shifted it to Yuan Zhen. Wang Yun had never felt so close to the crown prince position before. Since he was young, he had always been a joke among the many princes. Wang Yun clenched his right fist tightly, feeling a surge of hot-bloodedness. Yuan Zhen glanced over and saw Wang Yun's expression. Then, he smiled faintly and said, Not bad. I like your current state. However, this is indeed not the time to tell you. Come and hide with me first. The destruction in the battle later will surpass your imagination. Battle? Wang Yun appeared somewhat confused. First brother was so strong now. Who would dare to fight him? Wang Yun felt helpless to have such an idiot. Yuan Zhen sighed in his heart. Then, he gave a simple explanation, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. When your brothers wake up, they will understand this principle. They will only have a chance if they work together and destroy your first brother's altar. Don't you see that your first brother's guests are guarding the altar, not daring to move at all? Wang Yun looked around. Indeed, that was the case. Although the Xuewu dynasty experts and the 6 vain sovereign emperors Zhou Yu appeared relaxed, they did not relax at all. However, he did not let his guard down at all. He warily looked at his surroundings, his defense airtight, not revealing any openings. When Wang Yun thought of the battle that Yuan Zhen spoke of, he immediately felt horrified. If it was as Yuan Zhen said, just the ridiculously strong guests of the 8th prince and the 13th prince working together would not count the guests of the other princes. What kind of destructive power would that be? Wang Yun did not dare to imagine. Startled to his senses, Wang Yun shouted, Go! 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 Let's leave quickly. Don't move. Follow me. Yuan Zhen shook his head slightly. Then, he led the way, leading the group of guests and the 4th prince far away. The storm in the core region intensified. The 1st prince, who had absorbed another altar's dragon essence, became even more ferocious. He was so strong that he was beyond reason. Just a look from him was enough to make people tremble in fear. At this moment, aside from Wang Fei's altar, only 3 altars remained. They were the 11th prince, the 9th prince Wang Yen, and the 6th prince Wang Ming. The other altars were either destroyed or abandoned. Grim Reaper Lin Feng and the Universe Origin Sex Chu Feng both had ugly expressions on the 11th prince's altar. Should we defend or abandon? The 11th prince looked at the two of them. He was still hesitant and conflicted. Chu Feng said after some thought, There's no rush. He will definitely target the 9th prince Wang Yen with this sword strike. Your Highness, you should focus on refining the Yen Imperial Sword. Only by perfectly merging one's great Tao will one have a chance to compete with him. Lin Feng glanced around and said calmly, There are still many uncertainties. I think that the 8th prince and the 13th prince can't wait any longer. That's right. 8th brother and 13th brother will definitely not sit back and watch 1st brother continue to be strong. The 11th prince made up his mind, no longer conflicted. Then, he focused on refining the Yen Imperial Sword. The greater the danger, the greater the opportunity. The 11th prince did not want to give up yet. Amid the fierce sacred flame, Wang Yen narrowed his eyes as he looked at the 1st prince Wang Fei. The shock in his heart had yet to fade. Too fast. It was simply too fast. The 1st prince Wang Fei did not give anyone much time to react. he destroyed the 4 altars with an unstoppable momentum. At this moment, he was so strong that no one could bear to look at him directly. The tyranny of the kingship Dao made Wang Fei's heart swell to the point that it nearly distorted. Wang Fei was ruthless and decisive when he attacked. Wang Fei eliminated 2 of his greatest threats and 2 of the weakest princes. At this moment, no one could compete with him. Ninth Prince, your fate is already in chaos. I can see the situation of the various places. The fate of heaven is in chaos. The heavenly book scholar frowned heavily. At the crucial moment, his fate failed, making him feel somewhat guilty. However, your Highness's fate is a clash of yin and yang. It is hard to determine good or bad. I suggest that your Highness avoid it for now. Those who submit to me prosper, those who oppose me die. After Wang Fei finished refining the newly absorbed dragon essence, he looked around and fixed his gaze on Wang Yan while laughing maniacally. As everyone expected, the target of Wang Fei's sword strike was the 9th Prince Wang Yan. Shao Chen, do you dare to receive this sword strike of mine? When Wang Fei saw Shao Chen on the altar, the murderous intent that he had been suppressing for a long time finally erupted without fear. Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian raised his sword and brandished it. The foundation of a dynasty that had more than 100,000 years of history. The 100,000-odd years of accumulations of a dynasty turned into a towering sword light, looking like a sharp saber piercing through the sky as it descended on the altar where Wang Yan was. This already equaled the peak strike of a 7-veined sovereign emperor, perhaps even more horrifying. Most importantly, this was in the depths of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Even a true 7-veined sovereign emperor or an 8-veined sovereign emperor would find it hard to display such might. The unparalleled sword light far surpassed the previous 4 sword strike. This sword strike contained the vast sword light of the dynasty's might. It was also the legendary body of the dynasty that had weathered the river of time. The might of the sword made the vast and boundless core region seem incredibly insignificant. Should he defend? Or retreat? It all depended on Wang Yan's thought. Shao Chen closed his eyes and let the strong wind caused by the sword might flutter his clothes and long hair. Wang Fei had specifically asked Shao Chen to receive this sword strike. However, it was not up to him whether he wanted to receive it or not. It was not a matter of whether Wang Yan could receive it or not. Instead, if Wang Yan chose to retreat, receiving this sword strike would be meaningless. This king has never let anyone down in my life. Since everyone did not let me down, I will not let everyone down. Please help me receive this sword strike. We will live and die together. Wang Yan's calm words were indistinct before the vast sword might. However, it was like tar, igniting the hot-bloodedness in the hearts of Qin Zhuolin, the heavenly book scholar, and the others. They no longer showed any intention of retreating when facing this startling sword strike. Fight. My name is Xiao Su. Today, I wield the flag with my body of flesh and blood. Scarlet Blood Pirate King, please bestow me an undefeatable fighting spirit. Half a lifetime of ups and downs, wandering from place to place. Half a lifetime of invincibility, running amok. Xiao Su shouted and burned his life force. The scarlet war banner fluttered in the wind. The undefeatable battle hunger that Shao Chen inherited from the Scarlet Blood Pirate King crossed time and space, breaking through the barriers of time and space from the distant past. It turned into a blood-red sun and lit up the area, forcing back the sun-like radiance of the Wang Fei dynasty. The sun is like the sky, the true fire will never be extinguished. The Golden Crow Empire's Hao Kai's expression did not change. Then, like tar, he turned into the solar true flame and started burning. His eyes turned golden, and his great desolate Ian bloodline was completely activated. Immediately, a golden crow circled around the altar, pointing at the sun as the sky, drawing the earth as the dragon. Qin Zhuolin brought out his dragon-seeking art to its limits. He pointed one finger at the sky and the other at the ground. The location of his finger happened to be the blood-colored sun formed by the undefeatable battle will, and it instantly turned into a small altar. Under the sword that was formed from the foundation of 100,000 years of the Empire, it forcefully propped up the sky. His other hand pointed to the ground, drawing the earth as a dragon, summoning the image of a dragon vein to soar up with the resplendent golden crow. Righteous chi of heaven and earth, sun, moon, and galaxy. The heavenly book scholar could not care too much. He slowly opened the folding fan in his hand. Borrowing the sun, moon, and stars, he transformed his righteous chi into a blessing for this world. Aside from Xiao Chen, Wu Meng and the others on the altar did their best, even overdrawing on their life force, to block the unparalleled sword materialized by the 100,000 years of the dynasty's accumulations. Kill! Xiao Sua took the lead. He held the blood-colored war banner in his hand as he charged toward that brilliant sword light. It looked like a mantis trying to stop a chariot, a suicidal move. Even the feudal lords outside the palace could not bear to watch. Dang! The instant the scarlet blood war banner clashed with the sword light, Xiao Sua vomited a mouthful of blood. Cracks appeared in his right hand, which held the war banner. Xiao Sua's undefeatable battle hunger actually blocked that unparalleled sword light for a moment. Everyone was shaken. This scene was just too inconceivable. Even the 8th prince and the 13th prince did not dare to receive this sword strike. To think that a guest of the 9th prince blocked it. Brother Xiao, I'll help you. Whoosh. It looked like the cracks on Xiao Sua's arm would spread to his entire body. Then, 5 figures soared into the air at the same time. Qin Zhuolin gathered all the power of the world that he could connect to himself. He turned into a dragon image and attacked the sword light materialized by the dynasty, one from the left and one from the right, together with the golden crow that Hao Kai turned into. Crack! Crack! Before everyone's incredulous gazes, cracks appeared in that sword light, showing signs of crumbling. The first prince's expression changed dramatically. How can it be like this? The kingship Tao that the first prince cultivated could not tolerate such failure. Once the kingship Tao failed, it would harm the great Tao's origin. However, just as the first prince prepared to attack again, he suddenly felt a chill. When the first prince looked in the direction of the chill, he saw that Xiao Chen had opened his eyes at some point in time. A towering azure-colored dragon image materialized behind him, containing the pure royal divine dragon's dragon might. Chapter 23:13. The Blue Dragon. The azure dragon image was eye-catching and clear. Unlike the dragon images of the past, the azure dragon image behind Xiao Chen looked very realistic. The scales were lifelike, and the fine details could be seen clearly. There was a spiritual light in its eyes, and it was vivid and lifelike. The pure royal blue dragon's dragon might made Xiao Chen look like a living ancient divine dragon behind him. This was the effect of the 10,000 dragons art breaking through to the third layer. The 10,000 dragons merged into one, and the royal genealogical record of Xiao Chen's true name. The moment this blue dragon appeared, all the princes and guests in the core region could not help looking over. The royal blue dragon's dragon might spread to every corner. It was like water or mist, real and ethereal. After the dragon might entered the bodies of the various cultivators, it brought fear and trembling. It was hard not to notice it. This Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King, who had agreed to attack Wang Fei together with the 8th prince, were stunned. Their bloodlines were noble, far surpassing those of ordinary great desolate Ian bloodline outstanding talents. They were very clear on how extraordinary Xiao Chen's dragon might was. A mixed blood dragon? Is this really a mixed blood dragon? I don't believe it. The Silver Dragon King's voice trembled slightly. His grade 7 Silver Dragon bloodline actually felt some fear. It was like the Silver Dragon King wanted to see a dragon, wanting to kneel and prostrate. This was extremely absurd. Although the other divine beast bloodline outstanding talents also felt fear in the depths of their hearts, They were not as fearful as the dragon race cultivators. Azure? Could it be that lost divine dragon bloodline? Sikong Shu thought of some secret records in the Bushan Palace. His expression changed, becoming uncertain. The sovereign emperor powerhouses in the palace clearly noticed the difference in the azure dragon image behind Shao Chun. Interesting. This is already the dragon might of a king divine dragon. However, the 6-colored divine dragons do not have a blue dragon. There were rumors in the past that the divine dragons had 7-colored divine dragons 50,000 years ago. However, it seems like someone purposely erased these rumors. Even the various holy lands only have scattered records, so no one knows what happened. Who in this martial epoch is so capable? You can force the various superpowers to make this a taboo? Strange things have happened one after another in this year's Crown Prince selection. I wonder what kind of omen this is. The various feudal lords and aristocratic family bigwigs were puzzled. At the same time, they had a bad premonition. There were also some big shots who wore grave expressions and did not dare to speak. Although the Blue Dragon's past was not a taboo, the factions that had existed for tens of thousands of years still knew about it. They also knew who had erased the news. This was the horrifying existence that stood at the peak of the martial epoch, the one that no one dared to talk about or defy. But now, the Blue Dragon bloodline, which had been wiped out by that person, actually had a survivor. How could these people who knew the secret not feel terrified and uneasy, not daring to say anything? When the Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor saw the azure-colored dragon image in the palace in the clouds, he felt slightly stunned. Then, he smiled calmly and said, "The martial epoch is indeed at its end. Even the race that person personally wiped out reappeared. How weak is he now?" However, the Yen Emperor, who was restrained by a group of elders, could not smile. It looked like the Yenwu dynasty could not avoid the great calamity that the Hidden Spirit Temple's abbot mentioned. Damn it, why do these people think that the demonic Dao Hall will listen to their whims? Inside the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, Shao Chun circulated the 10,000 dragons art in his body. Waves roared in his vast divine energy sea, forming thousands of different dragon images. Shao Chun did not give Wang Fei a chance to attack again. The instant the azure-colored dragon image appeared, he soared into the air. Boom! Countless dragon images shot out of Shao Chun's divine energy sea and entered the azure-colored dragon image. The dragon might of the azure-colored dragon image behind Shao Chun soared. Its ferocious roar shook the surroundings. 10,000 dragons returned to one. As Shao Chun soared into the air, he gently stomped on the dynasty's sword chi that Shao Suo and the other 4 blocked. Cracks already appeared in the dynasty's sword chi. It was like Shao Chun had turned into a blue dragon. When he stomped, the towering azure-colored dragon image merged with him, and the dragon claw attached to his leg. When Shao Chun stomped, it looked like an ancient blue dragon had clawed at this sword light materialized by the 100,000-year-old dynasty's accumulations. Ka Xie. The sword light, which already cracked in the first place, instantly shattered. A dynasty turned to ashes before everyone's shocked gazes. Pu Xi. Above the altar, the originally unrestrained, unruly, and arrogant first prince vomited blood and fell heavily. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell heavily onto the ground. The holy light that was as resplendent as the sun dimmed at an unbelievable speed. The kingship Dao was like this. The first prince could grow stronger quickly and weaken even faster. The somewhat dumbfounded Wang Fei kept falling, his mind blank. First prince, don't panic. While his stomp looked casual, he actually stored up power for a long time. He will not be able to unleash such a horrifying strike within a short time. Quickly destroy the remaining 2 altars while the kingship Dao's might is still resplendent. At the crucial moment, Lord Shi's voice was like a hammer to Wang Fei's head, rousing him to his senses. Right, that's right. I still have a chance. If I want to make up for my current injuries, I have to continue plundering. I cannot lose. I cannot lose. Wang Fei revealed a crazed expression in his eyes. Just as he was about to fall off the altar, he let out a heart-wrenching cry. Those who submit to me prosper, those who oppose me die. The originally tyrannical words that Wang Fei roared out sounded somewhat tragic and crazy in his mouth. The resplendent holy light materialized by the kingship Tao on the altar suddenly extinguished. Wang Fei's eyes turned bloodshot. When he thrust his sword, he used his great Tao energy, divine energy, soul energy, everything he had on this final sword strike. After Wang Fei sent out this sword strike, he seemed to age 100 years. His eyes turned scarlet. He forced himself into a desperate situation. Xiao, the dynasty sword light that burst out of the Yan imperial sword split into two, charging towards the altars of the 6th prince and the 11th prince. The two streams of dynasty's sword light carried Wang Fei's everything, his will, his ambition, his madness and even his life. It was even stronger than the sword light that the 9th prince faced earlier. The expressions of the 11th prince and the 6th prince changed dramatically. Their faces turned the color of chicken liver at the same time. He was still thinking that the 9th prince would block the sword for him, and buy some time for the two of them, which was why he was secretly delighted. But now, he even had the thought of dying. The earlier scene proved that the 1st prince was terrifyingly strong. Just his aura alone rivaled that of a peak 7-vein sovereign emperor. However, this also meant that he wasn't so strong that he was unreasonable and undefeatable. As long as the brothers were of one mind, had the courage to go through life and death together, had the courage to press forward with indomitable will, and had the incessant boiling blood, they would be able to withstand this sword. However, the 11th prince and the 6th prince could not afford to bet on it. Their guests could not be as determined as Xiao Suo and the others. No one dared to be sure that the others would not abandon them. If they tried to forcefully receive the sword, they would end up dying miserably. The two did not dare to bet on it. They said unwillingly at nearly the same time, "Retreat!" Boom! In an instant, the two altars shattered, and two shockingly large amounts of dragon essence surged out. Two startlingly vast dragon essence surged towards Wang Fei like a hurricane. Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Wang Fei stopped falling amid maniacal laughter and slowly rose up. The originally extinguished holy light on the altar flared up with an even more resplendent light. This sword strike not only allowed Wang Fei to return to his peak, but also brought him to a higher level. We can't wait anymore. Kill! The 8th prince and the 13th prince, who had been watching, paled in fright when they saw this scene. They no longer dared to wait. They had to fight to the death. They had already reached a point where only one side could survive. The 1st prince had already forced them to the edge of a cliff. They had to fight even if they did not want to. Wang Fei smiled disdainfully, not caring at all. He said indifferently, "Block them." The mysterious man, Shi, waved his sleeve, and the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter and the Black-Faced Holy Daughter led a few demonic Tao experts over. A frenzied battle between sovereign emperors instantly started at lightning speed. Be it the 8th prince's subordinates, the Divine Sword Pavilion's Dao Yen and the profound Heaven Holy Sun Wenren Yu, or the 13th prince's subordinates, the Silver Dragon King and Sikong Shu, they could all be considered super experts. They possessed extremely horrifying strength. Any one of them could turn the ancient Yan Emperor tomb upside down. Now, these people worked together to charge at the 1st prince. At this point, the succession race had slowly spiraled out of control, inspiring fear in the spectators for some reason. Xiao Chen, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Otherwise, who knows when I could break through the shackles of my King Dao domain? Wang Fei, whose strength had clearly improved, smiled as he looked at Xiao Chen. However, an extremely cold, murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Big brother, Xiao Suo, who had already landed on the altar, looked at Xiao Chen somewhat worriedly. Xiao Suo's entire body was covered in wounds. His right arm was nearly crippled as it swayed weakly. Wu Meng and the others paled as they supported Xiao Suo. They were in a similarly bad state. Xiao Chen, who had the blue dragon wrapped around him, looked at Wang Fei expressionlessly. His thoughts raced. This Wang Fei was indeed a ruthless person. In a sure-death situation, he actually tried to escape death. When facing a stronger opponent, Xiao Chen could not think of any other way to fight aside from drawing Heavenly Slayer, not to mention the Dragon's Gate forbidden art. However, Xiao Chen had already drawn Heavenly Slayer to help Wang Yan out earlier, draining most of his divine energy and soul energy. Shattering Heavenly Slayer with his foot had drained him significantly as well. Xiao Chen had not recovered yet. If he drew Heavenly Slayer, a soul tool that rivaled a superior-grade soul tool, he would definitely overdraw on his physical body and injure his foundations. Furthermore, even if he drew Heavenly Slayer, his chances of victory were only 50%. Should I draw this saber or not? Draw. Xiao Chen, who was conflicted in his mind, made his decision without hesitation. Heavenly Slayer reappeared in his hand. Then, he held it horizontally in front of Xiao Chen, grasping its hilt. Big brother, you can't draw the saber anymore. Xiao Suo shouted hoarsely, his expression changing slightly when he saw the situation on the altar. A soul tool. The word forbidden distinguished it from ordinary secret treasures. Naturally, Xiao Chen could not attack recklessly. Otherwise, he would have drawn his saber long ago and killed until the sky turned dark. In the holy flame, Wang Yan, who was anxiously refining his Yen imperial sword, opened his eyes. When he saw Xiao Chen's actions, his expression changed dramatically. You can't, however. Right after Wang Yan spoke, a saber light interrupted him. Then, Wang Yan drew Heavenly Slayer. The dazzling saber light looked like the blazing sun. When the saber was drawn by 1 centimeter, the sky shattered by 3 meters. Bearing the honor of the ruler, I draw my saber for the ruler. Chapter 23:14. Bearing the loyalty of a ruler, I draw my saber for a ruler. Right after Wang Fei spoke, he completely drew Heavenly Slayer. Heavenly Slayer, which rivaled a superior-grade soul tool, was forged from demonic tribulation lightning metal and infused with the ancient Thunder Dragon True Soul. It was perfectly compatible with Xiao Chen's Thunder Dao, containing the Heavenly Dao's killing intent. If Xiao Chen drove Heavenly Slayer at full power, it could destroy the sky, make the sun and moon dim, and make the stars fall. Xiao Chen had already demonstrated its unparalleled might once. When he drew Heavenly Slayer, he killed 5 princes with 1 saber strike. Once the Heavenly Dao's killing intent was brought out, it would not kill but injure. When Xiao Chen sensed the vast energy contained in the saber, he infused his soul energy and divine energy into it, not holding back at all as he drove this saber with all his might. The withdrawn Heavenly Dao's killing intent immediately manifested, spreading out in the sky, ready to be unleashed. Kill! Without hesitation, Xiao Chen held the saber in his hand and turned into a flash of purple electric light, appearing around Wang Fei. Good move. I'll make sure you never return. Wang Fei worried that he would not be able to take the initiative to fight Xiao Chen after he left the altar's dragon luck. Who could have imagined that the other party would use a soul tool to charge over? If this was not seeking death, what was? In this ancient Yen Emperor tomb, no soul tool could compare to the sovereign Dao Yen imperial sword in his hand. Dang! 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 When the saber and sword clashed, Xiao Chen brought out his saber techniques to their fullest. In an instant, Xiao Chen exchanged hundreds of moves. His saber aura firmly suppressed Wang Fei. Before Xiao Chen, Wang Fei's sword techniques were riddled with openings. In just a few breaths, Wang Fei's body was covered in wounds. He bled profusely, covered in the marks left by Heavenly Slayer. However, Wang Fei did not care. His injuries healed at a visible pace, and he instantly recovered. He instantly recovered to his original state. Even though he was at a disadvantage, he did not cower in the slightest. Humph! It is impossible for you to kill me in this ancient Yan Emperor tomb. I already obtained the acknowledgement of the dynasty's dragon vein. My great Tao perfectly merged with the dragon vein. Here I am heaven! Wang Fei ignored his horrifying injuries. Despite clearly being at a disadvantage, he continued suppressing Shao Chen. Amid the maniacal laughter, the dragon image materialized by the dynasty's dragon vein appeared arrogant and despotic, baring its fangs and claws. They clashed with the azure dragon around Shao Chen, fighting each other. The two of them fought in the sky. The azure dragon image and the golden dragon bloodline incarnation covered the entire sky of the core region. It covered the vast starry sky, triggering boundless phenomena. Gales, lightning, and thunder rumbled without end. Shao Chen frowned slightly. The other party held too much of an advantage in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Shao Chen had perfectly merged with the dynasty's dragon vein, already gaining the acknowledgement of this world. Now, he could use the Yanwu dynasty's accumulations of more than 100,000 years at any time. As he said, stabbing him 1,000 times would be no different from scratching an itch as long as he wasn't heavily injured. On the other hand, if he were to be struck by the other party's sword, even his blue dragon divine body might not be able to withstand it. This situation was simply like cheating. If not for Tian Slayer clashing with the other party's Yen Imperial sword, Shao Chen would not be able to fight such an enemy. He could only stay far away. All he needed to do was wait for a sure kill opening. With Heavenly Slayer in his hands, there was hope. The battle between the two was already intense enough. However, the battle below was even more bloody and brutal. The 8th Prince's and the 13th Prince's guests charged towards the altar at the same time. The Azure Lotus Holy Daughter and the Black Lotus Church Holy Son led people to block them. Close to 40 great perfection sovereign emperors attacked frantically. There was no lack of super experts like Dao Yan, Wenren Yu, the Silver Dragon King, and Sikong Shu. In the chaotic battle, killing moves and soul tools appeared. Great desolate Aeon bloodlines were activated, and boundless demonic chi surged out. At this point, the succession race already concerned life and death, honor and honor. The 8th Prince and the 13th Prince had to gamble everything for that tiny chance. The two's obsession and desire for the Crown Prince far surpassed that of the other princes. Naturally, their guests were not willing to lose. Dao Yan, who comprehended an ice small world, relied on his 10th layer Dao domain to move about without fear, advancing rapidly. No one could match him more than 3 times. Just when Dao Yan thought that he could charge over, a monk with handsome features and a lotus-like air stopped him. A monk with delicate features and a lotus-like air stopped Shao Chen. This was the former Holy Son, the current Black Lotus sect venerate Ming Xian. Scram! Dao Yan showed a cold and emotionless expression as he threw a palm strike. A soul-deep chill surged out. A 10th layer Dao domain was extremely horrifying. A regular Great Perfection Sovereign Emperor would find it hard to block this move. Their Dao domains would instantly shatter. Secret technique. Destroy. Ming Xian did not panic. He placed his thumb on the tip of his index finger and formed a hand seal with one hand. Then, he gently pushed forward. Immediately, boundless Buddhist might surged over and extinguished the incoming chill, regardless of whether it was materialized or directed at the soul. Dao Yin felt slightly stunned. When he saw the indistinct Black Lotus Church venerate image behind Ming Xian, he suddenly understood. So, it is a sinful disciple of the Buddhist sect. Humph! Originally, Dao Yan planned to use his ice small world on the mysterious black-clad man who had yet to make a move. Dao Yan snorted coldly, and the ice small world appeared, encasing Ming Xian. Ming Xian looked around. He could clearly see the figures of the others in the surroundings. However, he could clearly feel that there was a hazy boundary between him and these people. It was like they were in two different worlds. Of course, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that Ming Xian felt immense pressure from the world. It was like the world rejected Ming Xian, feeling incredibly unbearable. His Tao domain was completely suppressed. His soul energy and divine energy were restricted, unable to circulate smoothly. 10th layer Tao domain, how horrifying! Ming Xian carefully sensed the various discomforts in his body. However, he did not show any panic on his face. Before Dao Yan's strange gaze, Ming Xian pointed at his forehead. Immediately, a swastika appeared on his forehead. "Those who oppose me will live." Whoosh! After the swastika reversed, the originally golden Buddhist light instantly turned black, and its Buddhist might became even stronger. An ancient Buddhist light traveled from the distant past, breaking the restrictions of the small world and landing on Ming Xian. The various discomforts instantly vanished. Then, Ming Xian smiled faintly and said, "With the support of this Buddhist light, even if I cannot defeat you, it is more than enough to block you. That will have to be tested before we know." Dao Yan showed a sullen expression. However, he was not satisfied with being blocked. Intense battles took place around the altar. The two princes worked together, carrying the momentum of a storm, wanting to destroy the first prince's altar in one go. Wang Fei sent out all the demonic Dao experts under him. However, he was at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. It looked like he would slowly fall into a disadvantage. However, she still did not intend to make a move. He swept his gaze around and looked into the distance. Damn it! Yen Songming cursed in his heart when he felt Shi's gaze. Then, he looked at the sixth prince beside him and said, "Your Highness, you no longer have a chance. Please forgive this humble one for offending you. I have to follow the agreement and help the first prince ascend to the throne. Sorry for offending." Before the sixth prince could answer, Yen Songming led Zhen Yuan and the many abyssal underworld experts far away. Wang Ming was stunned, his expression extremely unsightly. Unexpectedly, this group of people was so unreliable. Yen Songming did not stand a chance at all before being abandoned. Wang Ming's expression flickered. He felt very dissatisfied in his heart, but he did not do anything in the end. Whoosh! A figure appeared before Yen Songming. It was Grim Reaper Lin Feng. Xiao Qin bought time for Wang Yen. He took the initiative to draw his saber and clash with the insufferably arrogant Wang Fei. If the battle was too intense, Xiao Qin would not be able to interfere or help. However, the two princes clearly held the advantage. As long as they destroyed the altar, they could resolve Xiao Qin's predicament. Even if Xiao Qin could not block everyone, he could at least block Yen Songming. "Zhen Yuan, bring them over to help. Leave this to me," Yen Songming instructed with a calm expression. Then, he looked at Lin Feng. Zhen Yuan did not say a word. He led the other abyssal underworld sovereign emperors to the altar to help Wang Fei. Although Yen Songming had arrived, the appearance of Zhen Yuan's group greatly eased the pressure on the Black Lotus sect Holy Sun and the others. The slightly suppressed situation actually flipped around. The situation instantly turned for the better. Bang! Yen Songming and Lin Feng brought out their Death Dao domains to their limit. Dense black dragon patterns appeared on their faces. When their auras reached their peak, they instantly attacked and then retreated. A black state of death floated around the two, forming thousands of dark underworld flowers. Lin Feng looked at the black patterns swimming around his palm, feeling startled. To think that Yen Songming's strength has already reached such a level. "Senior brother, you are not a match for me. Move aside." Yen Songming revealed a distant gaze on his calm face, not showing much hatred. Yen Songming continued in a somewhat hoarse voice, "The gap between us can no longer be described with cultivation. I already touched the origin of death. I am one of the players in this situation, but you are just a pawn. Given the situation, if you insist on going your own way, you will end up like Shao Chen when he draws his saber again. Only death awaits you. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He was here on Swearen Ji's orders to represent the Heavenly Alliance to help the 11th Prince. Lin Feng did not know about the deeper clash and chess game of the succession race in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. This succession race already touches on the direction of the epic cycle. It is not something you can understand. Yen Tsangming showed a stern expression. A vast and distant aura appeared in his eyes, like a boundless sea. Lin Feng smiled and said, I do not understand. I only know that Shao Chen is my friend. With you joining, the two princes will definitely lose. Since I want to help him, naturally, I have to stop you. You say that I do not understand, but how could I? I have always been your beloved junior brother. Yen Tsangming looked up. Wang Fei held the upper hand, like the heavenly Tao existed. On the other hand, Shao Chen's aura was no longer as strong as it was at the beginning. As this continued, danger loomed. Shao Chen said indifferently, It does not matter. When he chose to draw his saber again, he was destined to die today. This is fate. Whether you stop me or not, it will not change anything. I have a saber that can cleanse everything and illuminate 3 lifetimes. Just at this moment, something strange happened in the sky. A blue lotus bloomed under Shao Chen's feet. Time seemed to change as Shao Chen's figure split into 3. Each figure sent out a saber and pierced Wang Fei's chest. The 3 figures represented the past, the present, and the future. The 3 sabers intersected and slowly destroyed the first prince's vast life force. No matter how the dragon vein supported it, it could not reverse the situation. Wang Fei revealed an extremely incredulous expression. He could not understand how he got struck. Chapter 23:15. Cleansing the glory, illuminating 3 lives. 3 saber lights intersected above the altar, illuminated by resplendent holy light, and pierced through Wang Fei. Wang Fei's life force drained at a visible rate. No matter how much the dynasty's dragon vein replenished it with dragon essence, it could not slow down the loss of life force. The 3 figures slowly merged. It was like time and space layered over each other as many scenes flashed. These were Shao Chen's present, past, and future. However, the scenes were blurry and distorted, disappearing in a flash. One could not clearly see what was happening. No one had expected such a scene. From the very start, Shao Chen did not hold the advantage against Wang Fei, who had the dynasty's dragon vein. Practically no one felt that they could defeat Wang Fei. Even if they could not kill him. However, Wang Fei was about to die now. This was real, not faked at all. Damn it! How can it be like this? How did Wang Fei die? The Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor was stupefied in the palace in the clouds. A flustered expression flashed in his eyes. Although Wang Fei still showed signs of life, given their cultivation, they could tell that he was already dead. The instant the 3 saber lights intersected, Wang Fei died. Right now, the dynasty's dragon vein was using its supreme dragon essence to forcibly extend Wang Fei's life. However, this was like filling a bottomless bottle with water. No matter how much water one had, one could not fill the bottle to the brim. In the end, it would empty. Imperial Ancestor, the other elders showed flustered expressions. They looked at the Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor at a loss, clearly asking what they should do if Wang Fei died. In their plan, Wang Fei's death wasn't part of it. With the dynasty's dragon vein supporting him, he was an unrivaled existence in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. He was the heavens of that world. How could he die at the hands of others? With Wang Fei's death, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's many plans could not be carried out. The suppressed Yen Emperor's expression changed slightly. Shock flashed in his eyes as the Yen Imperial sword in his hand trembled slightly. He could already draw his sword again. However, the Yen Emperor's face turned ashen. He had no desire to draw his sword at all. His heart remained deathly still, not having any thoughts. The Yen Emperor should hate Shao Chen. However, he could not do so. It was the Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor, and the others who pushed Wang Fei to the edge of the abyss. However, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders were his uncles. Similarly, he could not hate them. Right now, he was the loser. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders were also the losers. Is the Yenwu dynasty really unable to avoid a calamity? Thinking of this, the Yen Emperor could not help but close his eyes in despair, feeling disheartened. In the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, the group of great perfection sovereign emperors fighting stopped what they were doing at the same time. They looked at Wang Fei, who had been pierced by 3 sabers, with some confusion. Big brother is going to die? The expressions of the 8th prince and the 13th prince changed slightly as joy and surprise appeared in their eyes. With the death of the eldest prince, that great threat would be completely eliminated. His subordinates would also be forcefully teleported out. At that time, the position of crown prince would only be between the 2 of them. No, there was another person, Wang Feng said indifferently. The next one has to be 9th brother. You don't have any objections, right? The 13th prince Wang Yi smiled coldly and said, "That's exactly what I wanted." The 2 did not feel any heartache over Wang Fei's death. Instead, they quickly set their sights on their next competitor. The coldness of the 2 was startling. Right now, only the 9th prince was still refining the Yen imperial sword. If he could perfectly merge his great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein, the 9th prince would be the only one left. If he could perfectly merge his great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein, he could become the second first prince. This? Yen Songming, who was conversing with Lin Feng, felt greatly startled, his expression changing dramatically. Yen Songming raised his eyebrows and looked at Lord Shi in the distance. Lord Shi still showed a calm expression, unable to tell what he was thinking. You are very surprised. It looks like Wang Fei really did not deserve to die. Lin Feng keenly noticed Yen Songming's expression. There seemed to be some hidden secret. Yen Songming withdrew his gaze and said after some thought, "If that person is willing, no one can kill Wang Fei. Since Wang Fei is dead, it means that the first prince no longer has any value. Senior brother, I can no longer understand this Go puzzle. If possible, I hope that you can help me at the crucial moment. Stand in the shoes of a flood dragon human and help my junior brother. The world is about to undergo a great change. My flood dragon human race is facing a once-in-100,000 years opportunity." Whoosh! Yen Songming sent a voice projection to Lin Feng. After saying that, his figure flashed far away, leaving the somewhat confused Lin Feng behind. The world is about to undergo a great change. The flood dragon human race is facing a once-in-100,000 years opportunity. Senior brother, you have to help me. Yen Songming's words lingered in Lin Feng's mind as he entered deep thought. Most importantly, who was the person that Yen Songming mentioned? Based on that person's tone, even Lin Feng felt reverence. Who exactly is this person? Who is so horrifying? Whoosh! Shao Chen's 3 figures slowly merged. It was like time and space layered over each other, and many scenes flashed by. The scenes all showed Shao Chen's past, present, and future. However, the scenes were distorted and blurry, appearing and disappearing in a flash. A scarlet flame shot over. The demon blood vulture descended from the sky and caught the swaying Shao Chen. Shao Chen sheathed his saber and held the wound on his chest, appearing pale. That earlier saber strike was the 3-life flower and not the 3-life flower. Shao Chen used the state of cycle to drive the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique to execute the 3-life flower. Shao Chen traveled to the past and the future, merging the 3 saber strikes into one. Wang Fei, who revealed an opening, would die for sure. Originally, Shao Chen wanted to execute the stronger colorless killing. However, merciless killing was hard to control, and he was not confident of success. Hence, he could only settle for the next best thing, executing the more mature 3-life flower. Otherwise, he would not be able to kill the first prince, who was one with the world. No matter how severely injured he was, Wang Fei could rely on his horrifying dragon essence to instantly recover. He had a nearly undying body. However, Xiao Chen's eyes were filled with doubt. He did not relax at all. The instant Xiao Chen executed the 3-life flower, he felt a horrifying killing intent. The fear that killing intent brought was something he had never felt before. Xiao Chen nearly could not execute it successfully. He even thought of giving up. However, that person seemed to have confirmed something. His killing intent suddenly vanished, and he successfully executed the 3-life flower. What did he confirm? A bright light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. After he confirmed that my saber strike could kill Wang Fei, he chose to give up. That's right. That must be it. If my saber strike could only severely injure Wang Fei, he would have made a move to block it. If I could kill Wang Fei, he would have chosen to give up and reap the benefit. There was only one explanation. Xiao Chen could not kill Wang Fei, who was one with the world, in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Perhaps he had to pay a huge price to do so, which was why he sent me to kill Wang Fei. Xiao Chen's gaze fell on the black-clad Shi, who wore a mask over his left eye below the altar. Many doubts flashed in his eyes. However, even though someone used him, Xiao Chen did not feel any regret in his heart. Xiao Chen had 3 purposes in coming to the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. He wanted to help Wang Yan become the crown prince and wait for the ethereal Immortal palace to appear. He had never told anyone about his third purpose, only hiding it deep in his heart. However, he had never forgotten it. It was like a sharp knife carving into his heart. Kill Wang Fei. Wang Fei had to die. He had to pay the price for his little martial nephew, Ling Yu's death. Even if Xiao Chen had to face the boundless pursuit of the entire Imperial Ancestral Temple, he had to kill Wang Fei. On that day, the scene of Ling Yu committing suicide made Xiao Chen swear in his heart that he had waited for this day for a long time. Wang Fei's body fell off the altar. When he felt his life force ebbing like sand, his eyes filled with despair. Dissatisfaction. He was not willing to die like this. When Wang Fei saw Shi below the altar, a trace of hope appeared in his despairing eyes. This man, whom he could not see through, possessed horrifying strength. Perhaps he had a chance. Lord Shi, save me. If I die, you will not have a chance, either. Wang Fei muttered as he looked at Shi with hope. She said calmly, Sorry, Your Highness, you are already dead. Even a true god cannot save you. No. Wang Fei shouted in despair as he grasped his Yan Imperial sword helplessly. However, no matter how much despair he felt, he could not change the reality. The instant he landed, his body scattered like sand. Everyone in and out of the area watched this scene incredulously. The insufferably arrogant Wang Fei, who had merged with the dynasty's dragon veins and could be said to be unrivaled, died just like that. Not even dregs remained. The person that everyone thought would become the crown prince was gone, just like that. After the first prince died, the figures of his guests flickered continuously. This was the rule of the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. After a prince died, his guests could no longer remain in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. However, just as these people's figures slowly turned blurry, the black-clad masked man suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed the first prince's Yan Imperial sword. Whoosh! The sword immediately burst forth with a soaring demonic light, turning the entire sky dark. The azure lotus holy sun and the others' figures turned blurry. The instant the black-clad masked man grabbed the Yan Imperial sword, he forcibly pulled them back. The Yan Imperial sword is rather impressive. That's not right. It should be called the demonic Imperial sword now. She ferociously tore off his black robes, revealing the noble and evil dragon robes inside. That was the Shuwu dynasty's dragon robes. She tossed the black robes into the air, and turned into a blood moon rising into the sky. Chapter 23:16. The blood moon formed by the black robes rose increasingly higher. In mere moments it was as high as the sky. Pitch-black demonic chi covered the sky, and the blood moon appeared indistinct in the demonic fog. Everyone could not tell whether this was the ancient Yen Emperor tomb or the Blood Moon dynasty's boundless demonic domain. Before one wave settled, another wave rose in the succession race. Everyone knew that most of the retainers under the first prince were from the Devil Tao. After all, while the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders colluded with the demonic Tao to keep the hidden spirit temple in check, it was not unknown. At the very least, the various feudal lords and noble clan powerhouses present knew some clues. If the weak royal clan did not want to be controlled by others, they could only use a strategy to keep each other in check. However, based on the current situation, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's elders seemed to have gone overboard. The demonic Tao people were not in their grasp. The expressions of the various feudal lords and noble clan powerhouses immediately changed slightly. Soaring Dragon Marquis, what do you think the situation is like? A feudal lord asked the Soaring Dragon Marquis. The succession race had already gone out of control. These feudal lords all felt somewhat uneasy. The royal clan seemed to be losing control of the situation. The Soaring Dragon Marquis frowned slightly. After some thought, he said, "Let's wait and see. The Imperial Palace is where the luck of the entire dynasty lies. The royal clan has operated here for more than 100,000 years. Even if a foe god descends, he would not dare to be impudent here." Although the Soaring Dragon Marquis said that, he still felt that something was wrong, as the Yen Emperor had not appeared yet. Inside the palace in the clouds, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor walked to a corner. A pitch-black figure stood in front of him. It was just an image, but everyone could feel the overwhelming demonic might in its eyes. The two quickly conversed. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor's expression changed several times before he finally nodded helplessly. When the image vanished, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor's expression returned to normal as he slowly walked forward. The clouds in front slowly vanished. It looked like the Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor was about to walk to the platform. The tightly shut Yen Emperor suddenly opened his eyes and asked indifferently, "Who are you speaking to?" The Imperial Ancestral Temple's Imperial Ancestor paused for a moment but did not leave. After a while, his figure appeared before the many powerhouses in the palace. As he stood in the clouds, he said, "Everyone, don't panic. Everything in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb is under the royal clan's control. The succession race will proceed as planned. It's the ancestor." Seeing the patriarch appear, the various feudal vassals and aristocratic families felt slightly relieved. Since the grand ancestor had said so, there was nothing to worry about. After all, this was an important place in the imperial palace, and the dynasty had 100,000 years of accumulation. However, the battle for the crown prince position was even more complicated and confusing, making it even more difficult to predict. In the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, demonic clouds covered the sky and the blood moon hung high in the sky. She held the mutated demonic imperial sword and revealed a baffling smile under the blood moon. Behind him stood the Black Lotus Saint, the Azure Lotus Saintess, and many demonic Tao experts. The sudden change caught everyone off guard, causing them to frown. The 8th prince and the 13th prince stood together. Their eyes were filled with confusion. They didn't know what this person wanted to do. What was even more confusing was how Xiao Qin could hold the Yen Imperial Sword in First Brother's hand. There were too many strange things. Both of them felt a trace of uneasiness, and they faintly sensed that the competition for the crown prince position had changed. When Xiao Qin looked up at the blood moon in the sky, he suddenly felt like he was in a dream. It was like the Blood Moon dynasty had already occupied this place. What kind of agreement did First Brother make with the Imperial Ancestral Temple? To think that they brought such a monster into the ancient Yen Emperor tomb. The 13th Prince Wang Yi's eyes flickered. He no longer dared to act rashly. Wang Feng said softly, "Just wait and see. If he only wants to wait for the ethereal Immortal Palace to appear, the situation will not be that bad." The best guess was that this person was only interested in the ethereal Immortal Palace. The worst-case scenario was unimaginable. Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King showed grave expressions as they looked at the blood moon above. The Silver Dragon King sent a voice projection. "This person is called Shi. He is the first prince of the Xuewu dynasty." At the same time, the demonic Dao Hall's Hall Master thinks highly of him. If nothing unexpected happens, he will definitely become the new demon monarch and control the entire demonic Dao. It looks like he is determined to obtain the ethereal Immortal Palace. Sikong Shu replied calmly, "It is not that simple. There are many factions of the demonic Dao entangling with him. For him to be able to unite the Black Lotus Church and the Azure Lotus Church under him, it means that he is very ambitious. This time, it's not as simple as the Misty Palace of Immortals." Whoosh! On the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chen, who was anxiously treating his injuries, sensed a figure descend. It was Chu Chaoyun, who had been hiding somewhere. Then, he appeared and landed beside Xiao Chen. Chu Chaoyun stared at Shi, who was below. After some thought, he said, "This is really unexpected. I thought that after killing the first prince, he would be no longer a threat. Now I can't figure out what he is trying to do." "You can't figure it out?" "Actually, it is very simple. Ships come and go in the surging sea, all for the sake of profit. Putting aside the minor details, he used me to kill the first prince. Clearly, he wants to obtain the greatest benefit, to replace the first prince." Xiao Chen made a bold prediction that no one dared to think of. This startled Chu Chaoyun, not daring to reply. The Yenwu dynasty had existed for more than 100,000 years. Its territory was vast, and its accumulations were deep. Xiao Chen alone wanted to take over the entire Yenwu dynasty. This was a pipe dream, too exaggerated. "Isn't this a little too inconceivable?" Chu Chaoyun said with some uncertainty after a pause. After all, Ruoshi was only doing this for the ethereal Immortal Palace. There was no need to expose her identity. It would be better to let the first prince block the spear. Aside from the various possibilities, there is only one possibility left. No matter how incredible it is the truth. "Do you know who else stands behind me, aside from the Heavenly Alliance?" "Who?" Chu Chaoyun raised his eyebrows. He had long sensed that Xiao Chen knew something that he did not. "The Hidden Spirit Temple. If not for the Hidden Spirit Temple's help, my strength would not have improved before the succession race. This game of chess is no longer as simple as the succession race. In the current martial epoch, the 8 super factions are all here. They all have their own plans and backup plans." There was one more thing that Xiao Chen did not say. Back then, in the Hidden Spirit Temple, Sword God Su Hanshan and the Spring Snow Bladesman Pan Huang were there at the same time. Was it a coincidence? How could there be such a coincidence? The strongest person of the Sword Dao and the strongest person of the Saber Dao appeared at the Hidden Spirit Temple at the same time. From the very start, this game of chess used the entire martial epoch as the chessboard. A bright light flickered in Xiao Chen's eyes. When he looked around, he saw Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King standing proudly in the Bushan Palace, enduring silently. The profound Heaven Holy Lands Wenren Yu stood silently behind Dao Yen with his zither on his back. The underworld god halls Yen Tsangming and Zhen Yuan looked like they were on the same side as the demonic Dao cultivators. However, upon closer inspection, they seemed somewhat distant. "There is one more person." Xiao Chen looked around but could not find the person in his heart. He frowned heavily and said softly, "There is one more person?" Chu Chaoyun felt confused, not knowing who Xiao Chen was referring to. Xiao Chen did not answer. He looked around but still could not find that person. He did not know where that person was hiding. However, Xiao Chen knew that that person had to be here, in this ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Otherwise, that person would not have asked Xiao Chen if he would kill him for no reason that day. The blood moon hung in the sky, looking as resplendent as fire. She, who wore dragon robes, tightly grasped the demonic imperial sword. When he sensed that the sword in his hand had completely turned into the demonic imperial sword, he opened his eyes. His left and right eyes were different, adding a sinister air to them. Whoosh! She's somewhat tyrannical words came out calmly from his mouth, inspiring fear in others. She gently swung the demonic imperial sword in his hand, and the altar beside him split in half. Now, only the altar remained in the core region. Only Wang Yan anxiously refined the Yan imperial sword, hoping to perfectly merge his great Tao with the dynasty's dragon vein. It is time to end the succession race. She looked around and fixed his gaze on Wang Yan, who was in the fierce sacred flame. Then, his lips curled up in a cold smile. She's unfathomable aura was even more terrifying and unfathomable than the first Prince Wang Fei's. Oh no! On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chen's expression changed. He guessed what she was going to do. Xiao Chen wanted to continue fighting. However, the moment he stood up, he vomited a mouthful of blood. Right now, he could not make a move. A flash of sword light carrying the dynasty's might came from a place no one expected and landed on the altar where Wang Yan was. This was also the dynasty's might. However, this sword strike contained the Zuman dynasty's might. The sword light turned into a blood dragon materialized by the dynasty's accumulations. Before Xiao Suo and the others on the altar could react, the sword wind blew them away. No! The sword wind contained too much Zuman dynasty's might. The severely injured Xiao Suo and the others could not block it, and the sword wind blew them away mercilessly. Then, they watched as the sword light landed. The blood dragon opened its huge jaws and coldly swallowed up the entire altar. Boom! As the sacred flames scattered, the altar was instantly destroyed. The 8 altars in the core region were all destroyed, not a single one remaining. Xiao Chen held his chest and coughed continuously as he stared at the blood moon in the sky. That earlier sword strike came from the blood moon. No one had expected a sword to fly out of the blood moon. No one, not even Xiao Chen, had expected it. Upon closer inspection, that blood moon contained a dragon shadow. No one knew how deep the dragon shadow's accumulations were. A dragon hidden in the moon, existing with the sky. Whoosh! Without any warning, a pair of dragon eyes suddenly opened in the blood moon high in the sky. It looked down on all life, and the boundless sky seemed to be its body. A boundless pressure suddenly appeared on everyone's shoulders. As they looked at the blood moon in the sky, intense horror appeared in their eyes. That blood moon looked like a sovereign descending on the world, wanting to devour mountains and rivers. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Strands of dragon essence flowed endlessly in the core region. The silk-like crystalline dragon essence continuously drifted into the sky and got swallowed up by the demonic clouds. The blood moon in the clouds seemed even more beautiful. Similar. Too similar. Xiao Chen's heart thumped heavily, and his hand trembled. This blood moon looked very similar to the one in the Blue Dragon ancient land. What exactly is Xi's relationship with Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun? You are right. He does indeed want to take over the Yanwu dynasty. That blood moon hides the Shuwu dynasty's dragon vein clone. It is slowly devouring the Yanwu dynasty's dragon vein. It looks like the Imperial Ancestral Temple has already sided with the demonic Dao Hall. This is not going to be easy, Chu Chaoyun sighed softly, sounding somewhat helpless. The other party had already gained momentum. The other party's guests and experts had just gone through a huge battle and were drained. No one dared to make a move at this moment. If not for Xiao Chen making a move to kill Wang Fei, things might not have gone so smoothly for the other party. However, Xiao Chen could not be blamed. Chu Chaoyun had planned this in the first place. After killing Wang Fei, Chu Chaoyun's guests would leave as well. However, plans could never keep up with changes. Should I say this as well? Those who submit to me will prosper, those who oppose me will die? She said with a harmless smile. Then, he casually swung the demonic imperial sword in his hand. Rumble! Ripples spread out from the sword light, spreading out in front like ripples. It looked like a casual swing, but it carried a boundless aura like a surging wave containing vast demonic might. Silver Dragon's Rage. Raging Stars. Vast Sky Fist Light. Sorrowful Cloud Palm. The princes and guests who were still alive looked at the ripple-like sword marks that were moving toward them. Their expressions changed drastically. As they executed killing moves, they retreated frantically. The weaker ones bore the brunt of the attack, sustaining severe injuries and vomiting blood. With a casual swing of the sword, everyone moved back. She raised his head and looked at the demon blood vulture, which was forced back. Then, he smiled faintly and said, "Brother Xiao, I will share this world with you." Chapter 23:17. Brother Xiao, I will share this world with you. She smiled faintly under the blood moon as he raised his head to look at Xiao Chen, who was on the demon blood vulture. Right after she spoke, he immediately caused a huge commotion. What's going on? Why did she suddenly say that? Could it be that Xiao Chen and she were old acquaintances? In hindsight, if Xiao Chen had not used a strange saber move to kill the first Prince Wang Fei, she would not have his current might. On the demon blood vulture's back, Chu Chaoyun gave Xiao Chen a suspicious look, entering deep thought. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Don't overthink. This is my first time seeing this person in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. However, he should have some connection to Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun." At that time, Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's other identity was the demonic Dao Hall's Hall Master. Perhaps he is a blue dragon descendant as well. However, his bloodline is already extremely thin. Chu Chaoyun shared some of his guesses, thinking of other possibilities. Perhaps this could explain Xi's earlier words. A blue dragon bloodline? That's impossible. Aside from me, there is no other blue dragon bloodline in this world. Although the Kunlun realm has a blue dragon totem, it only has a blue dragon martial spirit. It is still far from a bloodline. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Then, he said, there are only two possibilities for his earlier words. One is to frame me. After all, Wang Fei died at my hands. The second possibility is that I am an important pawn in his eyes. Without me, he cannot start the epic. Or perhaps both of them are possible. Cut the crap. What are you trying to do? As the two discussed on the demon blood vulture, a furious shout came from below. It was the 8th Prince Wang Feng. He had had enough of this demonic Dao expert who came out of nowhere. This demonic Dao expert turned the succession race into a mess, leaving Wang Feng with no chance at all. Most importantly, this was the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Wang Feng could not stand an outsider giving orders here, acting all high and mighty. Even when Wang Fei was in power, he did not feel this bad. After all, he was of the royal family's bloodline. But who the hell was this guy in front of him? What exactly do you want? The other princes felt the same way as Wang Feng. They could not understand what she was trying to do. I've already said that the competition for the crown prince position is over. You princes have already performed outstandingly. Go back to where you came from. The Imperial Ancestral Temple will reward you based on your contributions. She smiled. He did not get angry at this group of princes with cold expressions and murderous gazes. Do you think it's over just because you say so? Yes, it's over when I say it's over. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, the smile on Xi's face suddenly vanished, replaced by a cold and sinister expression. The scattered gazes suddenly focused on the 8th Prince Wang Fei. Their eyes met. In the depths of the mysterious left eye's pupil, a strange blood-red cross mark appeared. Below the cross mark was a vast demonic sea, and there seemed to be terrifying demons slumbering in the sea. No bang, bang, bang. Boundless horror spread in the eighth prince's heart. The horror hidden in the depths of his heart magnified infinitely. The eighth prince's heart pounded faster and faster, looking like it would leap out of his chest. Wang Feng clutched his chest, unable to utter a single word. His face was pale. Then, he flew back with a plop. After he landed, he bounced several times on the ground like a rubber ball. With each bounce, he vomited a large mouthful of essence blood, a tragic sight to behold. "Your Highness!" Dao Xian and the other hanger-ons were shocked and quickly chased after them. Only Wenren Yu, Mu Yunju, and Gu Yuhan showed grave expressions as they sent voice projections. Did he see anything? No. He only took one look before immediately closing his demonic eye. I vaguely felt a vague mark. Before I could examine it in detail, I felt boundless horror and did not dare to sigh again. I'm about the same. This person's demonic eye is too horrifying. Even though it is not directed at us, it already possesses such a terrifying ability. Wenren Yu looked up at the blood moon and entered deep thought. This Shi's strength is simply outrageous. Gasp! The other princes sucked in a breath of cold air. They could not hide the horror in their eyes. With just one look, the eighth prince was severely injured. How strong was this Shi? What should we do? Senior Sikong, Senior Silver Dragon King, what should we do? The 13th Prince Wang Yi trembled in fear, completely flustered and unable to come up with any ideas. Compared to the hot-blooded 8th Prince, the 13th Prince's performance in this desperate situation was even worse. However, Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King did not answer the 13th Prince. They were thinking about a deeper problem. The blood moon hung in the sky, existing with the sky as it slowly swallowed up the dynasty's dragon vein. How did this Shi do it? Back then, in order to stabilize this land of absolute beginning, the imperial family must have laid down a shocking array here. After so many years of operation by the Imperial Ancestral Temple, the Imperial Ancestral Temple must have set up a shocking array here. It would not be an exaggeration to call it an ancient formation. However, looking at it now, the blood moon in the sky seemed to be the new formation's eye. The ancient formation ended up in the hands of a demonic Dao prince. This was simply inconceivable. If one thought about the mysteries behind this carefully, one would feel some lingering fear. Sikong Shu and the Silver Dragon King exchanged glances. The two were experienced and quickly figured out some clues. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Sikong Shu was about to say something, the 13th Prince retreated with a horrified expression. Then, she swept his gaze over. When she swept his gaze over, all the princes he looked at moved back frantically. They feared that the tragedy that happened to the 8th Prince would repeat itself on them. Seeing this somewhat comical scene, Sikong Shu sighed softly. There is no more chance. These princes are all frightened out of their wits. We are also helpless. If not for the blood moon in the sky, this Shi might not be undefeatable, even with the demonic eye. Since the princes gave up, the guests naturally had to leave. However, not everyone could be like Shi, grasping the Yen Imperial Sword and forcibly converting it into a demonic Imperial Sword. Right now, it was practically clear that this Shi had a secret deal with the Imperial Ancestral Temple. However, no one knew how much they had tied him up. The Silver Dragon King's eyes lit up. Something's not right. Did you notice that the speed at which the blood clouds are swallowing the dragon essence has slowed down? It seems like something has changed. Sikong Shu looked over. Indeed, it was so. The countless crystalline silk-like dragon essence in the air had slowed down slightly. If one did not look carefully, one would not notice it. She, who had been scaring the princes, did not notice this. You are still not going to retreat? She frowned slightly. His baleful aura seemed solid, putting terrifying pressure on everyone. He said indifferently, "I don't have such a good temper all the time." The blood moon in the sky burst forth with resplendent light as she's aura increased. The horror in the hearts of the many princes immediately multiplied. It looked like they would collapse. Bang! Just at this moment, a dragon roar erupted from underground, and a dazzling holy light soared into the sky. "You are not the one who calls the shots in this world." The ninth Prince Wang Yen showed a stern expression amid the light. As he held the Yen imperial sword, he slowly soared into the air. Auspicious clouds surrounded Wang Yen, and a dragon image appeared behind him. A vast dynasty appeared indistinct. Wang Yen, its ninth brother. His massacre great Tao perfectly merged with the dynasty's dragon vein. The sword strike from the blood moon had struck Wang Yen half dead. However, Wang Yen reappeared with his massacre great Tao, which perfectly merged with the dynasty's dragon vein. No injuries could be seen on Wang Yan's body. His stern face hid a boundless state of massacre. The continuously rising dragon essence started to frantically flow towards Wang Yan's body. Demonic clouds surged in the sky, and cracks started to appear in the blood moon, which had been consuming the dynasty's dragon vein. The Silver Dragon King said after some thought, "So, that is the case. Before the altar was destroyed, this Wang Yen already perfectly merged with the dynasty's dragon vein. However, that sword strike severely injured him, so he endured and waited until he recovered to his peak before making a strong appearance." On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chen also felt startled. Then, he revealed a smile. Wang Yen did a great job. Xiao Chen's protection up until now was not in vain. He just had to endure and wait until he recovered to his peak before dealing a blow to she. Had she been rash back then, he would have destroyed Xiao Chen. Now, with Wang Yan's strong return, it would not be that easy to destroy him. The most important thing was that Wang Yan's appearance gave the other princes confidence. At the very least, Xi's plan would not fall apart and fail, like Dao Yan, Sikong Shu, and the other super experts. "You want to turn the tide with just your strength? It won't be that easy." Xi's expression changed. Clearly, he had not expected Wang Yen to have hidden so deeply. Wang Yen had jumped out just when she felt that he had the upper hand. Xi's demonic eye of terror feared hope and courage the most. Given that, its might would be greatly reduced. Hence, it would be difficult for Xi to force back the other princes with one look. She needed to kill Wang Yen as quickly as possible. Just as she was about to lead Ming Xian and the others over, something strange happened. Only by purifying all life can one attain enlightenment. I swear not to become a Buddha until hell is empty. A brilliant Buddhist might appeared in the western sky. Auspicious clouds covered the sun, looking like a surging river that continuously pushed back the demonic clouds in the sky. The great origin of the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva traveled through time and space from the previous epoch and resounded in the sky. Amid the boundless beneficence, Yuan Zhen was like a living Buddha descending from the heavens. Yuan Zhen showed a solemn expression as he sat cross-legged on the lotus platform. Then, he formed supreme dermic seals with his hands, showing all sorts of mysteries. Then, he threw a palm strike. All laws are empty. Only Buddha is supreme. Pure and vast beneficence materialized an ancient Buddhist nation behind Yuan Zhen. When Yuan Zhen's palm strike landed, it materialized a golden Buddhist palm as large as a mountain. Then, it pierced through the demonic clouds and headed for the blood moon in the sky. At the same time, the shattered pieces of the 8 altars scattered in the core region gathered in the air and formed a brand new altar. Dragons soared up from the ground. Dragon images bathed in Buddhist might continuously headed for the altar. A person descended from the sky, showing wild joy on his face as he landed firmly on the altar. Then, Wang Yun stabbed the Yen imperial sword into the altar. Laughing maniacally, he said, "Ninth brother's words do not count in this world." Chapter 23:18. You, ninth brother, do not have the final say in this world. Auspicious clouds churned in the sky. Yuan Zhen looked like a Buddha descending to the world as he sent a palm strike at the blood moon in the sky. At the same time, the ninth altar also appeared. It gathered the essence of the 8 altar fragments and formed the ninth altar in the air. Thousands of dragon images soared up from the ground and gathered. In wild joy, the fourth prince Wang Yun stabbed his yen imperial sword into the fierce, sacred flame. The repeated changes could no longer be described as one wave rising and one wave calming. Instead, it was an unending storm, 10,000 waves surging. Just as everyone felt shocked at the ninth prince Wang Yan's strong return, Yuan Zhen suddenly charged out, using a vast Buddhist might to shake the sky as he headed for the blood moon. Before Yuan Zhen could see what would happen when the golden Buddhist palm landed on the blood moon, the ninth altar suddenly appeared. The ninth altar suddenly appeared. A character that no one could have imagined ascended the altar, bathed in Buddhist light. Xiao Chen's eyes did not know where to look. The thoughts in his mind were in a mess. He was stunned on the spot and was lost in thought. This is the legendary ninth altar. To think that there really is a ninth altar. 9 is the limit of numbers, reaching the peak and occupying great luck. The fourth prince Wang Yun is really surprising. If he could perfectly merge with it, he would be ridiculously strong. This ninth altar does indeed occupy great luck. However, one's fate is tough enough to endure it. The many princes and guests in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb felt flabbergasted, their thoughts pausing momentarily. The instant Yuan Zhen appeared on the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. Although Xiao Chen had been waiting for Yuan Zhen to appear, he had not expected Yuan Zhen to appear in such a manner. Purify all living beings before attaining enlightenment. I swear not to become a Buddha until hell is empty. The Kitagarbha Bodhisattva, suddenly, many of Xiao Chen's doubts cleared up. No wonder this Yuan Zhen asked Xiao Chen if he would kill him for no reason that day. It turned out that Yuan Zhen had inherited the karma of the Kunlun realm's Kitagarbha Bodhisattva. However, Xiao Chen did not know what form it took. Was it reincarnation, possession, or a seal? If one had to say who was the most shocked and surprised, it had to be she. Everything is empty. Only the Buddha is supreme. If one had to say who was the most shocked, it would definitely be Prince Shi. He had failed time and time again. Unexpectedly, the ninth prince returned strongly and Yuan Zhen suddenly rose up, causing the ninth prince to lose the overall situation. The ninth prince's appearance had already caused cracks to appear in the blood moon. Now, the fourth prince's gathering of dragon essence made the situation even worse. If Yuan Zhen's palm strike, which broke the demonic clouds, landed, the blood moon would shatter. Return. She was extremely decisive. He stretched out his hand, and the blood moon in the sky suddenly turned into a spinning black hole. He returned to his black robe form and slowly descended from the sky. After the golden Buddha palm, which was descending from the blood moon, missed, Yuan Zhen gently waved his hand and sent it towards Shi's group. The golden Buddha palm had already blotted out the sky. The momentum of its descent was like the sky was collapsing. Do it! On the demon blood vulture's back, the eyes of Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun lit up as they took advantage of the situation to attack. Without hesitation, Xiao Chen flew toward the black robe. He could not allow Shi to control the black robe again. Otherwise, when the blood moon rose again, it would be difficult to deal with. Black Face Secret Technique Destroy. Azure Lotus Secret Technique Create. Ming Xian and the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter, Yang Qing, showed grave expressions as they stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right. Then, they formed hand seals and launched palm strikes at the same time. The black swastika on Ming Xian's forehead spun around and released a black demonic might containing a heavy might of destruction. An azure lotus bloomed under Yang Qing's feet, and a gentle Buddhist light spread out like an auspicious sign, erupting with a torrential life force. Life and death. The two worked together to clash with the Buddha palm strike. She soared into the air, wanting to retrieve the black robe. A figure arrived in the air, brandishing a sword and swinging it. The killing intent filling the air was like a silver river, blocking she from afar. She showed some anger on his face as he looked up. It was the 9th Prince Wang Yan holding up his Yan imperial sword, coming to stop him. "You are seeking death," she raged. A scarlet cross appeared in the depths of his left eye as boundless horror assaulted him. In that instant, intense fear overwhelmed Wang Yan's physical body and soul. His body trembled slightly. Wang Yan remained calm, dealing with this calmly. The killing intent filling the air turned into motes of stars and gathered on his sword. Whoosh! The sword erupted with a blazing sword light. Wang Yan's wrist moved slightly, and a sword light shone on Shi's eyes. While the sword light covered the other party's demonic eyes, Wang Yan suppressed the fear in his heart with boundless courage and charged forward to attack. At this moment, Wang Yan's massacre great Tao perfectly merged with the dynasty's dragon vein. His strength was no weaker than the first prince's. As the sword light swept out, the 100,000-year-old dynasty's accumulations poured out like a surging river. With the massacre great Tao driving it, the dynasty's accumulations became like a vast army, roaring kill endlessly. She was forced to fight with the demonic imperial sword as Wang Yan held him back. "Ming Xian, Yang Qing, don't bother with that Yuan Zhen. Help me snatch back the divine cloak." At the same time, Xiao Sua charged over with the heavenly book scholar, Wu Meng, and the others, holding up the scarlet blood war banner. They engaged in a chaotic battle with Shi's guests, not giving him a chance to provide reinforcements. In the air, Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun chased after the black robe. Chu Chaoyun frowned slightly. Then, he glanced around and saw Ming Xian and the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter charging over at the same time after blocking that palm strike. "I'll go and block them." Without hesitation, Chu Chaoyun's figure flashed as he pushed his hands to the left and right. The universe origin true flame burned fiercely, materializing a screen of fire that blocked Ming Xian and the Azure Lotus Holy Daughter. Chu Chaoyun did not give the two a chance to react. He drew his sword and slowly spread out his primal chaos great Tao. His figure turned blurry, preventing Ming Xian and Yang Qing from locking onto his exact location. On the ground, the 8th Prince and the 13th Prince, who looked like they were startled awake from a dream, looked at the 9th altar in the air. Madness appeared in their eyes. Right now, this was their only chance to fight with the 9th Prince Wang Yan. They could chase Wang Yun down and monopolize the 9th altar for themselves. Kill! Wang Feng and Wang Yi each led their guests over with an overwhelming aura. With the strength of the two of them, it should be more than enough to chase Wang Yun away. However, just as the group approached, a Buddhist voice rang out. Buddhist chants rang out, and the many guests of the 4th Prince Wang Yun appeared. Each of them held a magic tool. Then, according to Yuan Zhen's instructions, they stood in different positions and activated their magic tools at the same time. Boom! In that instant, thousands of Buddhist voices layered over each other. A huge Buddha image encased the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. This Buddha image vaguely resembled the Kunlun realm's Kitagarbha Bodhisattva. Dang! 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 The many weapons struck the Buddha image, giving off metallic clangs. However, Wang Yun, who was on the altar, did not suffer any damage. Mr. Yuan really has incredible foresight. He long guessed that this group of princes would go crazy. Indeed. He gave us the magic tools to lay the formation in advance. It really worked. Don't get distracted. We are about to change the formation. Alright. Hidden dragon in the depths, spirit traveling 8 extremes, 9 palaces touched, 10 directions unchanging. The guest wielding the Dharma artifact changed his movement technique. The shadow of a dragon rose from the ground. A dragon image soared into the air from the ground as the formation changed and moved around the Buddha image. Unexpectedly, it was used by the Buddha image, slowly making it corporeal. Damn it! How can it be like this? The princes cursed when they saw that the Buddha image barrier, which was already at its wit's end, could actually reverse the dragon essence and strengthen it. On the altar, Wang Yun opened his eyes. When he saw the 8th prince and the 13th prince, he showed furious and helpless expressions. Wang Yun's lips curled up in a delighted smile as he said indifferently, "8th brother, little 13th prince, you did not expect this day, right? Ah! The person you mocked and bullied since you were young will one day make you gnash your teeth in frustration, unable to do anything about it." The 8th prince and the 13th prince bit their lips in silence, their eyes filled with dissatisfaction. If the 9th prince could rise up despite the situation, it could be explained. After all, he had been guarding the borders, radiating killing qi and making countless contributions. Furthermore, he had Xiao Chen's help, making up for the 9th prince's weakness of not having a foundation in the imperial capital. However, how capable was the 4th prince? He had been synonymous with trash since he was young. To think that he could ride on their heads, aloof, mocking them. The various factions in the ancient Yen Emperor Tomb's core region all had their own goals. Chaotic battles broke out everywhere, turning the sky dark and the ground dark. Everywhere was a battlefield. Yen Tsangming and Zhen Yuan left, watching from the sidelines. Surprisingly, they did not participate. Logically speaking, the two should be helping Shi. However, for some reason, they chose not to help either side. Should we make a move? I feel that we can bet on it. Zhen Yuan looked into the distance, raring to give it a try at Shi's side. His eyes brimmed with fighting spirit. Don't. That fellow's potential is far from being exposed. Let's see how many trump cards he has. The more he exposes, the higher our chances of victory. Yen Tsangming calmly made his choice, showing a smile on his face. Unexpectedly, the situation changed so quickly. This was simply a heaven-sent opportunity for Yen Tsangming. After Yuan Zhen attacked in the sky, he sat cross-legged on the lotus platform and closed his eyes to rest. Yuan Zhen did not chase after Shi. He continuously chanted scriptures, using the momentum that the 4th prince Wang Yun gathered to fill the sky with flickering auspicious clouds. Yuan Zhen continuously pushed back the originally vast and unparalleled demonic clouds. As for Xiao Chen, he frowned slightly. As he looked at the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows in front, he remained silent. Just as Xiao Chen was about to grab the black cloak formed by the blood moon, a flash of scarlet lightning appeared and snatched it away from his eyes. It's him. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that Xiao Chen found vaguely familiar the first time he met him in Divine City. The second time, this mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows appeared during the fight for the 5-element divine lightning. However, he did not appear at the same time as Ming Xian. The next time Xiao Chen met him was now. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows held the black cloak and laughed strangely. Do you want it? Xiao Chen showed a calm expression as he asked, You recognize me? Ah! How laughable! How laughable! Xiao Chen, you still do not recognize me? This is really disappointing. The scarlet shadow encasing Xiao Chen's body slowly scattered. His true body was actually a blood-sucking vine. However, what truly shocked Xiao Chen was the face that appeared on the blood-sucking vine. It was both familiar and unfamiliar. That was a face that Xiao Chen had forgotten long ago. It was a person that should not have appeared in the Great Thousand Realms. This was the Kunlun Realm's Thunder King, the Thunder King who laid out the plan, the one from the same generation as the Qing Emperor, the one who wanted to help the Black Lotus Church unify the Kunlun Realm. You are actually not dead. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. His expression changed slightly, unable to hide his shock. Ha! If the Black Lotus Church did not leave behind a strand of my soul, allowing me to reincarnate in the Great Thousand Realms, would I still be so loyal to them? The Thunder King smiled sinisterly. I look forward to seeing how long you can last against me in your current state. In his fight with the first Prince Wang Fei, Shao Chen was severely injured and drained a lot of energy. Even now, Shao Chen had not recovered much of his energy. It would be hard for him to block an opponent of the level of the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. However, Shao Chen remained calm, not showing any fluster in his eyes. He said indifferently, "Sorry, I'll have to disappoint you. Since you chose to expose yourself, I can only kill you again. I am Black Egg. I am White Egg. Now that the two eggs appear, who can compete with me?" The black and white eggs, who had been waiting impatiently in the Divine Universe Steel, received Shao Chen's instructions. The black and white eggs immediately leaped out and erupted with a horrifying aura that rivaled that of a six-veined sovereign emperor. The black and white eggs turned into two hurricanes, one black and one white, charging at the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. Chapter 23:19. Since the two eggs appeared, who could compete with them? Two tornadoes, one white and one black, howled as they charged at the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. Shao Chen remained calm, not worried that the black and white eggs would lose. With Shao Chen's current strength, he could rival a five-veined sovereign emperor. The two eggs were at least as strong as a six-veined sovereign emperor. The two faux god puppets used Shao Chen as a reference and would always be slightly stronger than him. Shao Chen was a six-veined sovereign emperor with the black and white eggs' combat experience, the two's tacit cooperation, and the special nature of the puppets' bodies. Shao Chen could not think of any reason why he would lose to the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. That's not right. I should address the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows as the Thunder King now. With this thought, a murderous intent surfaced in Shao Chen's eyes again. How many outstanding talents of his Kunlun realm had died? To think that the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows dared to appear before Shao Chen and expose his identity. Shao Chen did not mind killing the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows again, making him disappear completely. This kind of person, who wanted to bury the entire world for his own benefit, should not exist in this world. Puppets? You want to kill me with just two puppets? Shao Chen, you are really naive. The Thunder King originally felt somewhat shocked when he sensed the black and white eggs' auras. Facing two six-veined sovereign emperors at the same time would still put some pressure on him. However, if they are just puppets, the Thunder King smiled sinisterly. They are not worth mentioning at all. Countless demonic vines tangled together and turned into two beams of scarlet electric light as they burst out. In an instant, they charged into the two hurricanes. With a loud rumble, the hurricanes dispersed in an instant. The shock waves spread out. Shao Chen pushed off with his feet and took a few steps back. Then, he scattered the shock waves with a palm strike. The two demonic scarlet vines repeatedly attacked the black and white eggs, splitting the demonic vines. The demonic vines split apart, looking like scarlet snakes opening their mouths and biting the black and white eggs. Before entering the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, the Thunder Sovereign had fully displayed its horror, biting the heavenly wolf empires to Oba Yao with demonic vines. When the demonic vines bit the heavenly wolf empires to Oba Yao, the demonic vines instantly sucked out most of the other party's qi and blood. Just as he was about to repeat the same trick, the Thunder King suddenly recalled that puppets didn't have physical bodies. His entire body was made of divine materials that had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times, and with the help of formations, he was forged. When the thousands of blood snakes bit it, the scene that severely injured Tuoba Yao did not reappear. The black and white eggs remained undamaged. Kacha! Kacha! The black and white eggs grabbed the blood-sucking vines that wanted to shrink back, and they continuously punched them. The two blood-red vines, which looked like the arms of the Thunder King, were continuously shattered. The 10,000-meter-long blood-red vines were instantly blasted into nothingness. Little blockhead's ability isn't enough. Trash. You've made yourself look like neither a human nor a ghost, but your strength is still only SOSO. After the black and white eggs approached the Thunder King, they launched an endless barrage of attacks. The two eggs' Dao domains layered over each other, working together seamlessly. In just a short while, the Thunder King was exhausted from dealing with them, and he couldn't run even if he wanted to. The humiliation in Xiao Chen's words infuriated the Thunder King, causing him to howl. Even if I lie to you, there is nothing you can do about it. The black and white eggs' combat experience rivaled that of a foe god's. Back then, when Xiao Chen first saw them, he nearly gave up on the martial Dao. This showed how horrifying they were. The Thunder King treated the two as ordinary puppets, so he was destined to suffer. Xiao Chen did not pay much attention to the battle. He kept his eyes on the black robes controlled by the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. Clearly, this item was very important to Shi. He needed to obtain it. Die. The Thunder King, who had had his fill of humiliation from the black and white eggs, roared, and electric light burst out from his entire body. The piercing and dazzling Dao might that rivaled a sixth-layer Thunder Dao domain sent the black and white eggs flying. It was not over yet. The Dao domain on Shi Chen's body continued to grow wildly. The instant his Dao might reach the eighth layer, thousands of scarlet vines shot out. The scarlet vines were like lightning spears, covering the sky and the ground as they surged over, carrying vast thunder might. Boom! Everywhere the scarlet vines passed, scarlet electric light spread out in the air, showing no blind spots. The Thunder King's peak strike fully displayed the power of his Thunder Dao domain. When the scarlet vines arrived, they instantly struck the black and white eggs, shattering them into countless pieces. In the end, they are just puppets. The Thunder Sovereign held his breath and snorted coldly. That earlier strike was extremely powerful. That earlier strike drained most of his demonic energy and his great Dao energy. Even a true six-vein sovereign emperor would find it hard to escape death after getting struck by that attack. How scary. I nearly shattered them into pieces. Ha ha ha. Again. The shattered pieces on the ground suddenly gathered, and the black and white eggs reappeared, showing no signs of damage. At the critical moment earlier, the black and white eggs disintegrated at the same time. While it looked like the Thunder King had shattered them with one strike, in reality, the black and white eggs had taken the initiative to disintegrate themselves. Bang! 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 Before the somewhat stunned Thunder King could react, the black and white eggs charged over again. The vines of the gigantic blood-sucking vines shattered. However, after a while, only the trunk remained. Since the Thunder King could not defeat them, he no longer dared to fight, frantically fleeing. That is, suddenly, a bright light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows had cut off one of the vines holding the black robes, allowing the black robes to fly back into the air. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed as he attacked at lightning speed, grabbing the black robes in his hand. When Xiao Chen flipped the black robes over, he saw a scarlet dragon image embroidered on the inside. As he held it, the entire black robes seemed to move about like it was alive. The demonic cloud heaven swallowing art in Xiao Chen's body circulated involuntarily. With a thought, Xiao Chen tried to use his demonic Dao divine energy to control this black-clad sage robes. However, he helplessly discovered that there was an invisible membrane on the saint robe itself, blocking all of his divine essence and soul stones outside. After a while, Xiao Chen understood. His cultivation technique was not right. No matter how strong his demonic energy was, he could not control this black-clad sage robes. Damn it! Scram! She, who was being held back by Wang Yan, glanced over and discovered that the black robes landed in Xiao Chen's hand. Enraged, she swept his sword across and forced back Wang Yan, who was bitterly holding on. Wang Yan's palm exploded, and his Yan imperial sword trembled endlessly, nearly falling out of his hand. After Wang Yan landed, He moved back another 100 steps before he managed to neutralize the might of the other party's sword strike. Terrifying. Is this the other party's true strength? Whoosh. She, who had no choice but to expose his strength, forced back the other party with one sword strike. Then, his figure flashed a few times, and he appeared before Xiao Chen. Give me the sage robes or die. She showed a stern expression, showing unprecedented anxiety in his eyes. Clearly, this sage robes were very important to him. This was the first time Xiao Chen faced this person. He did not look at the other party's left eye as he said calmly, "If you were fully confident of killing me, you would not be wasting words with me. I can give you the sage robes, but you have to agree to one condition." Xi's expression did not change as he said indifferently, "Speak. Hand Jiang He to me." Xiao Chen already confirmed that he could not control the black-clad sage robes. After thinking for a while, he made this decision. This was the only opportunity for him to rescue Jiang He. Aside from the black-clad sage robes, she did not seem to care about anything else. Deal. She did not hesitate, showing a smile on his face. The scarlet cross in the depths of the demonic eye reappeared, spinning in reverse at an incredible speed. After a while, a figure was tossed out of the demonic eye. It was the star-plucking bandit, Jiang He. Xiao Chen kept his promise, tossing the black-clad sage robes to the other party. Whoosh! She casually flipped the sage robes around and put them back on. The long black robes extended all the way to Xi's calves. Scarlet dragons swam on the robes like they were alive, looking incredibly strange. "I'll leave this trash to you." She smiled faintly and left in a flash, ignoring Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He felt like he missed something. She agreed more straightforwardly than he expected. What a loss. I am useless to him now. He wants to find the inheritance key's location on me. Wearing that sage robe is equivalent to wearing the entire Xiuwu dynasty, Jiang He said softly with a sigh after Xiao Chen helped him up. After Xiao Chen helped Jiang He up, he sighed and said softly. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "It is probably not that simple. Let's not think about it. It is already worth it if I can get you back." Ah, what a brother! Jiang He laughed happily when he heard that. He did not feel sullen about being imprisoned at all, feeling very carefree. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black and white eggs, who had chased after the Thunder King, returned. After they landed, they circled Jiang He. Black Egg sniffed and said, "A familiar aura. It is very similar to the same person but somewhat different." Ah, I get it now. You are an egg laid by a dragon egg, right? White Egg suddenly guffawed in wild joy. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows as he looked at Jiang He. Is he a descendant of the previous generation Heaven Dragon? Chapter 23:20. An egg laid by a dragon egg. Naturally, the dragon egg in White Egg's mouth was the previous generation Heaven Dragon. However, it said that it sensed the aura of the previous generation Heaven Dragon from Jiang He. Xiao Chen suddenly recalled that when they first met, Jiang He said that he came from Ancestor Dragon City. Now that Xiao Chen thought about it, an ordinary mixed-blood dragon would not have had the opportunity to enter Ancestor Dragon City so early. If Jiang He were a Heaven Dragon's descendant, that would make sense. No matter what the previous generation Heaven Dragon did, a Heaven Dragon was, after all, a Heaven Dragon. He was an existence worthy of respect and worship in the Divine Dragon Empire. It was understandable that a Heaven Dragon's descendant had some special privileges. Regardless of what Xiao Chen was thinking, Jiang He showed dark lines on his face. The black and white eggs circling him made him feel embarrassed. Xiao Chen, what the heck are these two fellows? Jiang He could not stand these two puppets sniffing around him like dogs. He quickly ran to Xiao Chen's side to ask for help. The two of you should let him off first. Let me ask you, did that person catch up? Xiao Chen was more concerned about the Thunder King's life or death. If this person did not die, he would not feel at ease. White Egg smiled and said, "That is natural. With the two of us making a move, there is a possibility of failure. However, although the blood-sucking vine's body was destroyed, its soul fled too quickly, entering that person's magic tool. Xiao Chen looked in the direction White Egg pointed at, where the Black Lotus Holy Sun, Ming Xian, was fighting with Chu Chaoyun. Sooner or later, I will truly destroy him. Murderous intent flared in Xiao Chen's eyes. In his heart, the Kunlun Realm's Thunder King would always be someone he had to kill. This show is really exciting, Jiang he could not help sighing as he watched the majestic chaotic battle between sovereign emperors. Fortunately, this was the land of absolute beginning. Otherwise, even if it were Yen City, it would have been torn down long ago. After she put on the scarlet dragon cloak, he stopped fighting with the other Wang Yans. He gathered his guests and rushed to the 9th altar. At some point in time, Yen Songming and Zhen Yuan appeared beside him. The two seemed to intend to work together, working with the other princes to chase Wang Yun off the 9th altar. The originally chaotic situation had instead become clear after this. Yuan Zhen, who occupied the 9th altar and filled the sky with auspicious clouds, ended up becoming everyone's target. The entire second round of the Crown Prince battle was really like a changing king's flag, with one side singing and the other taking the stage. When one wave did not stop, another wave would rise. There would always be unexpected situations. What relationship do you have with the previous generation Heaven Dragon? It is impossible for she to capture you for no reason. As far as I know, the Heavenly Dragon does know where the inheritance key is. He discovered it in the Azure Dragon's old lands. Xiao Chen recovered his wits and asked Jiang He, who was beside him. Since I've saved you, there's no point in hiding my secret. Jiang He's expression turned grave, and his expression changed. The previous Heavenly Dragon was my father. However, I really do not know where the inheritance key is. If you saved me because of that, you might be disappointed. The previous generation Heaven Dragon is my father. However, I really do not know where the inheritance key is. If you saved me because of that, you will be disappointed. We are both from the dragon race and can be considered old acquaintances. I did not save you because of the inheritance key. I just wanted to clarify something. We are both from the dragon race and can be considered old acquaintances. I did not save you because of the inheritance key. I just have some things that I want to clarify. What Jiang He thought was his business. I believe you. Jiang He smiled faintly and stretched out his hand to slap Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen responded with a smile. The moment the two clasped hands, their trust was established. Because they knew each other, sometimes trust between people could be established in just a second, just like now. Whoosh! Chu Chaoyun descended from the sky and slowly landed beside the two. His complexion looked pretty good. It looked like he had not gotten injured from fighting against the two alone earlier. Yuan Zhen, this person really hid himself deeply. Everything fell into his trap. He raised a prince who did not exist to this point. Who knows how many people's plans were foiled. With the Buddha image's support, even with Shi and Yen Songming's help, Wang Yun's refinement of the Yen Imperial Sword continued to go uninterrupted. Far away, Wang Yan gathered Xiao Suo and the others, frowning slightly. Wang Yan hesitated on whether to join in and destroy this 9th altar or not. Realistically speaking, the 4th Prince Wang Yun was already Wang Yan's greatest competitor. At this moment, there was no right or wrong in Wang Yan's thoughts. Boom! Before Wang Yan could make a decision, Wang Yun laughed maniacally on the altar and pulled out the Yen Imperial Sword from the altar. The sword gave off a bright Buddhist light. This Wang Yun actually perfectly merged the Buddhist sect's great Tao with the Yenwu dynasty's dragon vein. Such a scene surpassed everyone's expectations. The many elders in the palace in the clouds were all stupefied. They had been rejecting the Hidden Spirit Temple, not letting the Hidden Spirit Temple interfere in the succession race. They even sided with the Xuewu dynasty's demonic Tao Hall. However, when the 4th prince pulled out the Yen Imperial Sword, they were stunned. The bright Buddhist light on the sword meant that the situation was no longer within their control. The Yen Emperor, who was restrained, revealed a mocking smile. These elders had been trying to play a balancing act, toying with both the Buddhist Tao and the demonic Tao in the palm of their hand. However, they did not know that in the eyes of the two factions, they were just pawns from the very start. Behind the smile was boundless sorrow. The Yen Emperor knew that no matter what the result was, the Yenwu dynasty was finished. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor felt very anxious. He walked to the corner again and communicated with the mysterious black figure. The imperial ancestor seemed to be saying that the succession race had already gone out of control. Even they could no longer control it. The third round would definitely start soon. Whoever won would become the crown prince. Their original plan had failed. "Who are you speaking to?" the Yen Emperor asked after the imperial ancestor finished speaking. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's imperial ancestor showed a cold expression as he replied indifferently, "This fourth brother should be a pawn that you and the Hidden Spirit Temple arranged, right? Although I know that you are close to the Hidden Spirit Temple, I did not expect you to be so deranged. Had I known, I would have crippled you long ago. As for who I am speaking to, you will naturally know when the succession race is over." When the Yen Emperor heard that, he wanted to laugh loudly. However, his heart had already died, so he could not laugh. The Yen Emperor's expression was even more unsightly than crying. These people are truly hopeless. Inside the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, when Wang Yun drew his Yen imperial sword, the altar under him shattered. The entire core region began to shake violently, and the ground suddenly exploded. Xiao Chen's expression changed. Even when the many great perfection sovereign emperors attacked frantically, the ground in this absolute beginning land did not truly crack. But now, the ground had truly been sliced apart, and cracks visible to the naked eye had appeared. What exactly is this existence? To think that it possesses such power, even more horrifying than the many sovereign emperors combined. Rumble! The ground trembled even more intensely as a terrifyingly strong aura brewed underground. Shockwaves spread out. Everyone, including Xiao Chen, had no choice but to retreat again and again. How strong! Just the shock waves were unblockable. After Xiao Chen landed, he felt like a baby being pushed back. He felt like a baby in front of this aura, constantly being pushed back. Crack! Before everyone's eyes, a small tree sapling giving off flames appeared in the core region. Before Xiao Chen could feel shocked, the sapling grew wildly at a startling speed. In an instant it grew to the size of a mountain. As the tree branches swayed, boundless life force poured out. Bathed in the green light, everyone's internal injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The ancient tree was still growing at an even faster rate. However, it was already large enough, giving the illusion that it had slowed down. It vaguely seemed like a condensed miniature of a vast dynasty's rise. The Yen Emperor Tree. This was the Yen Emperor Tree. This was the manifestation of a dynasty's accumulations of more than 100,000 years. It relied on the dynasty's dragon vein for nourishment, growing for more than 100,000 years. Whoosh! 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 All the princes could not suppress the impulse in their hearts. They strode forward and frantically rushed towards the Yen Emperor Tree. In the third round of the succession race, whoever stood at the top of the divine tree would become the dynasty's crown prince. However, there were still many people under the towering tree, not moving at all. Not only that, but they also showed some confusion on their faces. Where is the ethereal Immortal Palace? The divine tree has appeared, and the succession race is almost over. Why is there no sign of the ethereal Immortal Palace? The various outstanding talents who held the ethereal Immortal Palace keys looked around, searching for clues. Is it not time yet? Or is this prophecy the same as the previous ones? In the end, it turned out to be a lie.